NASCAR on Fox, we're back with you live, and there is your favorite for today's race. The odds-on favorite, well, of course, you'd be the favorite coming out of the rental car lot. There's Kevin Harvick as well. He's at 10 to 1. Brad Keselowski starting on the front row. The betting odds in Las Vegas, where you can legally place your money on your driver. And there's the Kyle Busch, 11 to 1, as Michael Waltrip has joined us back here trackside in the studio. These are the official odds today. What jumps out at you?
I like Brad Keselowski. I think he's going to win this race today. He's got a really strong car, but the odds that Joey Logano has on him, that'd be a pretty good bet as well.
Something to think about. No driver who led the first lap in Las Vegas went on to win a cup race here. We've talked about the speeds, the wear and tear of this race today, the track. What about the engines holding up?
Well, Chris, the tremendous amount of speed that we're seeing is asking these engines to do more than they ever have. Remember, the spoiler on the back is bigger. It's causing more downforce. That means those engines are working harder. There's a lot of nervous engine builders down in the garage area today.
And how about the preferred line?
I like the high side. I've always preferred going up high, but here at Vegas, especially with the progressive banking, I think that's where you want to be. In fact, Joey Logano likes it too. He's going to start from the outside on the initial start.
Joey Logano in the 22 car winning the pole at 193 miles per hour. Going to start outside, so let's head back down trackside to hear the words they love to hear, the famous words in racing.
And now for the 4 most famous words in motorsports. Please welcome your Grand Marshal, the actor that portrays the most interesting man in the world. Funny, I thought I was. Jonathan Goldsmith.
Drivers, start your engines.
In a city full of thrills and excitement, we're anxious to see how this plays out. We'll be watching along with you, so let's welcome in the guys who will take you through all 400 miles plus. Upstairs at Mike Joy.
Thanks, Chris. It's only race 3, but this is a pivotal race because 11 races this year will be contested on these mile-and-a-half super speedways, including half of the season-ending chase races. So let me turn to the most interesting driver in television, Darrell. We've seen drivers bouncing around in the cockpit, sawing on the wheel in practice all weekend. Why is this track so difficult to drive?
It's the new setups that they're running in the car. Mike, I've observed for 3 days now. I've never seen these guys take the beating inside the car they're taking. They look like they're off-roading. I mean, their heads are bobbling out. They're bouncing up and down. These cars are so fast, they're generating a ton of grip through the corner and a lot of G-forces. This is going to be a physically demanding race, maybe one of the most demanding we've had in a long time.
So, Larry, it's a difficult track to drive. It's even a harder race to plan.
Yeah, Mike, as you know, I study the trends of the race every single race weekend. And when I look at those trends, there's just not a pattern for this 400-mile race. And when you don't have a pattern, it's hard to set your strategy. And the strategy is ever-changing. And I think that's one reason, if you look at the last 3 winners of this race, they all had different strategies, including Matt Kenseth, who late in the race last year did fuel only.
All right, we're set to go for 400.5 miles in the desert of Nevada. Live NASCAR on Fox. Cars are on the first pace lap here in Las Vegas. Let's take a look at the Geico starting grid for today's race. Team Penske has the front row. Joey Logano's first Las Vegas pole. Brad Keselowski in the second straight front row sweep for Team Penske. Clint Boyer, third in most practices yesterday. Austin Dillon started top 10 in 2 of his 3 races this year. Jimmy Johnson, the only past Las Vegas winner in the top 10, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr., last year's Rookie of the Year. Jamie McMurray, fastest in final practice, and Eric Almirola way ahead of his best ever Vegas start. Completing the top 10, Brian Vickers, first Las Vegas start since 11. He was fast in both practices. And Ryan Newman has top 5 finishes in 2 of his last 3 here. At row 6, you'll find Carl Edwards, a 2-time Vegas winner, and Martin Truex Jr., top 10s in 2 of his last 3 here. Casey Kane, runner-up last year. Darrell?
Yeah, let's talk to the Daytona 500 pole sitter here and see what Austin Dillon, it's DW, got a copy, buddy?
Got you there, Darrell.
Young man, you have a win here in a truck. You ran really good here in a nationwide car, and you're starting 4th today. You must really like this place.
Yeah, Vegas has been a good place for me. I hope we can take this Cheerio Chevrolet and keep it up front all day. But the guys worked really hard. We had a good car in a happy hour. We'll see how it fires off. There's going to be a lot of track changes throughout the day. Hopefully we can keep up with them.
Buddy, I know we've only had 2 races. This is the 3rd one. But what's been your biggest challenge so far?
I think just preparing for the race, making sure we've got the car set up how I need it for the long races, and then being able to keep up with the track. So definitely learning a lot each week, and looking forward to the rest of the year.
All right, my friend. Good luck in the Mighty 3.
Thanks, buddy.
That is Austin Dillon. Here's the rest of the grid with Marcus Ambrose at the back due to an engine change, along with Parker Kligerman, and a backup car for Cole Witt will send him to the rear of the field. Have you tried Budweiser Speed Tweets, the new interactive game where you can compete for a chance to race go-karts with Kevin Harvick? Visit Budweiser.com/speedtweets to register and get the official rules. Earlier this week, Jimmy Johnson's crew chief, Chad Knaus, gave us his Kobalt tools of the race.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Las Vegas Motor Speedway for the Kobalt 400. Now this is going to be a very exciting race in our first mile-and-a-half racetrack on the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. So a couple keys to winning this race are going to be, 1, track position. You're going to have to try to get your race car out front and maintain that as long as you possibly can. 2 is going to be your pit strategy. You're going to want to do 2 tires or 4 tires. And finally, at the end of this race, you're really going to want to pay attention to your fuel mileage. That's where it's really going to start to affect who can pit and when they have to pit, and if you can keep that pit strategy at the end of the race. So I want you to sit back, relax, and enjoy the Kobalt race on Fox.
Cars can pass start-finish on their second pace lap. Let's go to pit road for late-breaking stories and begin upper right with Steve Burns.
Well, Mike, Kevin Harvick, last week's winner, a little disappointed with his qualifying effort. He starts 16th. His crew chief, Rodney Childers, told me they found something at the very end of practice yesterday that helped the front end, and then coincidentally, that helped the back end of that race car. Krista?
4 drivers have finished in the top 10 in both races this year. All 4 are in my section of the pits. Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, Brad Keselowski, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. Dale saying this morning this track is going to be a handful, but he has his eyes in the sky. Spotter TJ Majors back after missing Phoenix. Matt Yoakum?
Chris, the quiet contender in the field could be the one of Jamie McMurray. Now, his car was spectacular over the bumps and in turns 1. It had impressive speed, but also the car would tend to get free. Now, Keith Rodden's crew chief told me, Jeff Hammond, his goal today to keep that car on the tight side for good driver comfort.
The thing is, Matt, Michael Walker touched on it. Look for these teams that get off the bottom and make this track a lot wider through 1 and 2, not because of the bumps, but because the track is 20 degrees hotter than it's been all weekend. Mike?
Thanks, Jeff. Hunt some shade up there. Beautiful day. Near 70 degrees, track temperature in full sunshine, almost 90. And when they take the green flag, Jeff Gordon and Jeff Burton will be the only drivers who have started all 17 Sprint Cup races here at Las Vegas.
All right, guys, you got to know when to hold them and you got to know when to fold them. Coming down here to get the green flag. Hold on, here we go. Green flag's in the air. Boogity, boogity, boogity. Viva Las Vegas. Let's go racing, boys.
Which one of those Team Penske cars is going to lead the first lap? Whoa, Keselowski had a bit of a slide. Getting to the inside of turn 3, Logano leads the first lap, and Keselowski's going to fade at least to 3rd, 4th, maybe 5th.
If you watch Keselowski on the start, his car, he's spun the rear tires. That car must be a little bit loose.
Look at Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in the 17. He's up on the high side, got a great run off of 2 down the backstretch, trying to take that second spot away from Clint Boyer.
And Mike, Larry and I questioned Logano taking the outside. What a smart move. That outside is there.
Keselowski settles in 7th, and now he's clawing his way back alongside Ryan Newman. And Ricky Stenhouse, who started 6th, is up for 3rd, racing Clint Boyer for 2nd.
Yeah, you start the tire pressure so low, sometime when you drop the hammer on these 900 horsepower motors, you'll bust those rear tires loose. I think that's what happened to Keselowski.
He's back up to 6th now.
You get a little air pressure build up in the tires, the car will probably come back.
Side-by-side battle, 5th place. Austin Dillon inside in yellow, Brad Keselowski in white.
It's sort of good news, bad news with that air pressure thing. Sometimes you start it real low like that, it hurts you on the start, but then it really pays off as you go into a run.
Because you know how much air pressure you're going to build over the course of a long run. Looks like now the car's starting to come to Brad Keselowski in the 2.
And that's kind of how you know it was probably low air, Larry.
Jimmy Johnson wins the fight for third against Ricky Stenhouse for now. Now, last time by, have a look at the 16 of Greg Biffle.
Or not. You might not want to watch. It's pretty ugly right here. I thought he was going to go for a ride. I mean, that thing had the infield written all over it, but he saved her.
That car has had trouble clawing its way into the racetrack this whole weekend.
Yeah, he has said ever since the track opened for the test on Thursday, I never knew what it was going to do from one end of the racetrack to the other.
That's, to me, is where it's so important to have all the data that these guys have had for the last 3 days to make a educated guess on what this track's going to be like today, because we know it's hotter, 20 degrees, and much slicker.
All right, outside pole sitter Brad Keselowski settled in 5th. He's under pressure there from Austin Dillon. Krista?
Well, settled in is the right phrase, Mike, because there's been no panic, no concern on the radio. Brad Keselowski hasn't spoke. The only voice you've heard is spotter Joey Meyer. So, yes, just settling into this race rhythm.
And Brad Keselowski, he has a good idea, I think, what this track is going to do over the course of 400 miles, because he actually won the nationwide insurance race yesterday.
And, Larry, this is when the crew chief always comes on the radio after a lap or so and says, don't worry, it'll come to you.
Wow.
I always want to win.
Look at that. Tony Stewart clears that pack. Matt Kenseth, the yellow car, the 20. Casey Mears, keep an eye on the 13 today. He's had a couple of good practices. Nice to see that single car team showing well in the early weeks of this season. See if they can keep it up. Whoa, he and Kenseth almost traded paint there.
Can't keep that up.
No.
Cars get strung out pretty quick here because these initial laps, the track's a little dirty. They had the nationwide race here yesterday afternoon. So some of these cars may not be that great right now, but get a few laps on their belts, tire pressure comes up, might be able to make a move.
Hasn't been a great weekend for Joe Gibbs Racing so far. Their cars qualified deep in the field, and those 3 Toyotas trying to work their way all up into the top 20. Kyle Busch, the one that's there now.
But I love what Matt Kenseth said in the pre-race show. There's so many changes from 2013 to 2014. They were so dominant at the mile-and-a-half tracks. We felt like once we got this race under our belt, we would know where they would stack up.
Joey Logano has 0.7 of a second on Clint Boyer. Logano's led every one of the 9 laps so far. Steve?
And Mike, Joey said his car started on the tight side, but his car is starting to free up, and that's a good thing.
We felt like the more rubber that goes down on this racetrack, that the tighter it's going to get, the less amount it's going to want to turn.
9 green flag laps so far. You're watching NASCAR on Fox, side by side. Bit of 3-wide racing around the track as Joey Logano has now stepped way out in front of second place. Jimmy Johnson has moved to second, passing Clint Boyer. 2.2 seconds off the lead. Boyer holds third over Brad Keselowski and Ricky Stenhouse.
You know, Mike, this interesting statistic, I think. Joey Logano, in the 2 years he's been at Penske, has led more laps than he did in the 4 years he was at Gibbs. So he's had a fast car, and he's been running up front a lot. Got a nice run going today.
Take a look back there at 8th place, Jamie McMurray and Martin Truex Jr. And let's get an update on Clint Boyer, who was second, now third. Matt?
Mike, back on our Fox Sports Race Day show, you heard Clint Boyer talk about how his car is wicked fast, but his big concern was the car getting loose early in the run. And that has come to fruition. Clint Boyer's car is getting free and even more free as the run progresses. You can hear the concern in his voice, Mike.
Thanks, Matt. Trouble for Josh Wise in the Phil Parsons 98. Big plume of smoke out of that car in turn 1. He's down on the apron in the back straightaway, coasting toward pit road.
Yeah, nice big apron here so you can get down out of harm's way, and they're going to throw a caution. Look like they're not sure if there's fluid on the track or not. Right thing to do.
I think
First caution flag.
I think it was a welcome caution for a lot of drivers like Clint Boyer.
I'm sure that there was a chorus of drivers chiming in on that radio. All over the place, all everywhere.
Joey Logano has led all 17 laps so far in his Penske Ford. Let's have a look at today's Ford EcoBoost track facts. Ford won the first 3 Sprint Cup races held at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Jeff Burton and Matt Kenseth have won back-to-back Vegas races in Fords.
I think with going 18 laps, and pit road will be open here shortly, I think you have to come to pit road to at least fill that car up with Sunoco race fuel, but we're going to have probably every driver that's out there essentially on pit road, and there's going to be probably a lot of 2 tires, maybe even some fuel only, so it's going to be very congested.
6th time in the last 8 races here that the first caution flag has waved before we get to the 20-lap mark.
Yeah, but you know, it's a really timely caution because so many things are different from what these guys experienced in practice. The temperatures are a lot higher. Great opportunity to make that good adjustment, get the car back in the race.
The 2 practice sessions yesterday, one was held in the morning and the other in very early afternoon, and it ended about an hour before what we have here for weather conditions today. So pit road right now is still closed. NASCAR safety trucks around the speedway looking to see if Josh Wise deposited any fluid on the racetrack. And he's taken his car to the garage.
I remember that first caution we had in the Daytona 500 a couple of weeks ago. We had an early race caution, and about every driver out there was on pit road, and we had them spinning out. We had them banging fenders. It was all over the place.
Darrell, we won't see it under caution, but to talk about the difficulty of getting onto this pit road and slowed down if we have green flag pit stops.
Yeah, well, you run the corner. You come into turn 3 and 4 there, and you run that whole corner at speed. What happens to you, Mike, is pit road jumps up at you all at once. It's off of turn 4, so you have very little time. If you look at the dotted lines down there, you have very little time to get your car slowed down and get it to pit road speed coming off the racetrack. And if you don't come off the racetrack fast, guess what might happen? Somebody will run over you. So you got to carry that speed around there to pit road, then get her slowed down.
One of the most difficult pit entries under green in the whole sport. We asked you to show us how you get ready for race day. Let's take a KFC social media pit stop to look at how you KFC. I watch Fox Sports Race Day, especially the grid walk. How about that?
Michael sent that one. Good job, buddy.
All right, they did not open pit road because that snail's trail of fluid extended down pit road and into the garage area from Josh Wise's car, so they had to put some speedy dry down on pit road and at the garage entrance. So we should have pit road open this time and expect that everyone will be in.
It was mainly under green flag stops, but in the nationwide insurance race yesterday, 19 pit road speeding penalties, mainly under green stops.
Yikes. Matt?
Crew chief Brian Patty reminded Clint Boyer about the speedy dry on pit road and also right in front of his pit box exit. Boyer said he could barely hold on to the race car. They're going to pull some tape off an air duct to try to get cooling to that right rear tire, and they talked about a chassis adjustment, Krista.
Chad Knaus telling his driver Jimmy Johnson stop shallow in the box and keep it tight to the wall. Jimmy saying he needs more drive off turn 4. Steve?
Krista, Joey Logano saying he's losing just a little bit of rear drive on exit. They're already down and away.
And they are first off pit road, Steve.
Boy, interesting strategy by the 2 car. He decided he might just stay out.
Brad Keselowski did not pit. Neither did David Reagan or Travis Kvapil. We're finishing up caution number 1 for Josh Wise's engine. Now, David Reagan and Travis Kvapil stayed out hoping to lead a lap. That didn't happen because Brad Keselowski did not pit. So they made their stops and tacked onto the back end of the field along with Kyle Busch, who started to leave his pit and then backed up and got an adjustment. And he'll be tail end Charlie as we get ready to go.
Yeah, this is an interesting strategy by this 2 bunches. I'm real interested to see how this is going to work out for these guys.
Because that did not work yesterday in that nationwide insurance race, starting on the outside on a restart.
Green flag. Boy, Logano is shot out of a cannon, and he yards Keselowski by a car length and a half, make it 2 down at turn 1.
Yeah, Keselowski's just having trouble on the restart. He did on his initial start of the race. He did there. But I'm more interested to see how his tires are going to stack up against these guys that have tires.
And that was perfectly legal because they were beyond the restart box.
Krista?
Well, back on lap 11, they had talked about coming in when they needed to make an adjustment on the right front. But all they had said on the radio before that was they speak in the code. They talked about cores. Obviously, they have beer terminology for their codes. That was what they decided as a team to stay out.
Well, he's fighting for second now. Logano back in command. Keselowski holding second against Jimmy Johnson. Clint Boyer, Ryan Newman.
Well, I got to believe that the young man ran this race yesterday, and, you know, they run the same tire. They do a lot of the same things yesterday they do today, so he learned something that he's trying to apply early in this race.
You saw Eric Almirola looking at him way up high there in the blue 43. He either brushed the wall in two or had to pedal it because he got so high on the racetrack, and he's dropped a bunch of spots since this restart. Now let's go back to the Kyle Busch pit stop as we stay with live action here, and Joey Logano up front. Kyle gets his tires changed. Zip, in comes the 95 right in front of him, Michael McDowell, and they decide to hold him in the pit and do what, Matt?
Mike, they were going to go with a two-tire stop like you mentioned, but when they were blocked in by McDowell, then Dave Rogers decided to call an audible. They backed him up and took on 4 tires. They made the adjustment to try to tighten up Kyle Busch, because when Busch says his car is too loose to hang on to, you know it is wicked loose.
He was 17th coming onto pit road and came out 41st.
And I have to believe one reason they called that audible, because he was not going to lose that many spots by Michael McDowell coming in, but I think he was looking for an adjustment on that car as well.
Yeah, that's what I think they were wanting to do. They wanted to get some wedge in that thing, get him tightened up, and then they saw that the opportunity was there. Better do it now. Don't want to go back out here and get into a long run and the car not be right.
Rookie Kyle Larson battling A.J. Allmendinger. 18th place there.
Boy, I tell you, I see a lot of, I see some evil race cars right now. There's some guys that are really fighting their cars. Tony Stewart, Greg Biffle, those two guys have got their hands full.
See Marcus Ambrose right there, the biggest mover, up to the 28th position, had to start at the rear of the field because of an engine change. He's had his hands full all weekend with that race car.
Now let's point out, for Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s benefit, even though this is a super speedway, there is no out of bounds on the inside. That's a single, not a double yellow line like at Daytona and Talladega. So if you want to use the apron to make a pass, go right ahead. And that's what Junior did to his teammate, the 5, Casey Kane.
Yeah, I would suggest, though, that you stay off that green stuff. You can go anywhere you want to, but I wouldn't get down on that.
Yeah, the long green here is grass, not
good.
money.
Not good.
Darryl, we talk about how much this racetrack is heated up. I know Steve Burns, who has all the drivers toward the exit of pit road, said every driver he has is complaining about being loose.
Wow, log jam at turn 2, and Danica Patrick, Marcus Ambrose, the 43 of Eric Almirola. And did Almirola get into Danica Patrick?
He did, Mike. I was looking down there right at it, and he kind of got up right up against her rear bumper, and this kind of shot her up the track there. You see right here she goes. Lucky she saved that thing. Looked like he was just very unhappy with her.
And it about collected Almirola's teammate Marcus Ambrose on the outside in that 9 car.
Well, that's where the 9 car's been running for 2 days, right up there next to that wall. So he was all right.
He was comfortable there.
Comfortable there.
And you saw how much speed they lost in that exchange by how fast Kyle Busch shot by them on the bottom. Now it's the rookie Michael Annett in the 7 who's in the middle of that mix, and Cole Witt in a backup car, the 26.
But you know, that's something that's very confusing to me. Last week at Phoenix, Danica Patrick had a great car in practice. Yesterday here at Las Vegas, had a great car in practice, but they're not translating that to the race.
31 laps complete. Joey Logano out front. Six of 267 laps complete. Here's a closer look at today's race action with sprint. Joey Logano has led all but 2 of the laps so far. His Penske teammate has led the other 2. Switch now to the new Sprint family plan. Up to 10 friends and family can get unlimited talk, text, and a gig of data for as low as $25 a month each on the Sprint network. Visit sprint.com/speed or go to a Sprint store. Start your family today.
Mike, I'm watching Joey here, Logano, and he's a little bit quicker all the time, just a skosh. Seems like he can run a little faster if he has to. I'm sure they're telling him Jimmy Johnson is coming, But I think he can pick it up when he has to.
It's Ricky Stenhouse, the 17, who is in 11th. Dale Earnhardt Jr. battling. And dropping in line. They're about 9.5 seconds off the lead. Now, Kyle Busch has jumped 12 spots since the restart. It wasn't all pretty, but boy, it was effective.
Yeah, he made a move off 4 here that was rather breathtaking for A.J. Allmendinger. I'd say, watch this. He's coming, cuts down, and whoa! Almost sucked it back in out of that 47 car.
He completed the pass on Allmendinger, and the next lap went past Trevor Bayne.
Yeah, he's been getting 1 or 2 drivers every single lap as far as going by him.
So now Kyle sits in 20th. Older brother Kurt 1 spot ahead. Las Vegas natives. 40 laps complete in Las Vegas. 2:27 to go. In the new movie Need for Speed, Aaron Paul plays a street racer who joins a cross-country race with revenge on his mind. So with that in mind, let's let the cars do the talking as we crank it up. .43 laps, Joey Logano in front as Kyle Busch passes his Joe Gibbs teammate Matt Kenseth. That moved Kyle up to 18th. There are 38 cars on the lead lap. Alex Bowman's gone a lap down, so is Parker Kligerman, Timmy Hill, and Travis Kvapil. Josh Wise, after bringing out the first caution, is in the garage. Now 1 car away from being lapped by Joey Logano is Tony Stewart, former winner here. Matt?
Mike, that caution came at a great time for Tony Stewart. He was getting in trouble. The car not in the racetrack, hard to hold on to, extremely free. And he told crew chief Chad Johnson, you have got to take a big swing at some adjustments or we're going to be in trouble. Caution out.
Thanks, Matt. Debris in turn 3 has put us under caution for the 2nd time today.
What a huge break for Brad Keselowski. His crew members were up on the wall. He was about having to make a green flag pit stop because remember, he stayed out under that first caution.
Pretty good strategy when it works out like this. I was starting to question that, but it's going to work out fine for these guys. Good call.
His car owner, Roger Penske, they call him the captain. It's a term of respect. He was once Sports Illustrated's Racing Driver of the Year back when he raced sports cars. And he's had a great month of March. He turned 77 years old. His cars won both sides of the front row at Phoenix and here in Las Vegas. And this week, playing golf in Florida, got a hole-in-one.
Yes, he did. You know, the biggest compliment somebody can pay you is when they look at something you own and they say, that thing is Penske clean.
I think with the number of laps we've run since that last caution, I think most of these drivers will go with 4 Goodyear tires here.
All right, let's find out, Matt.
And Clint Boyer said that the car was better on the front side of that run, but still needs more adjustment. Last time they made a track bar adjustment. This time they're also going to make a package adjustment on the right front. Krista.
Jimmy Johnson saying his race car is still a little bit free, but we talked about what a break this is for the 2 of Brad Keselowski. They were about 6 laps away from having to make a green flag stop. Brad calling for the right front adjustment that he wanted back on lap 11. Steve?
Krista, Joey Logano started out a little bit tight on that last run, but the longer he ran, the freer he got. He said, I'm loose at both ends. They're going to change 4 tires on that 22 of Joey Logano this time. 2 tires last time.
Here's the battle off pit road.
Chad Canal said in his tools of the race, one of the important things is track position. I think a lot of the drivers like Kyle Busch that was at the back of the field went with just 2 tires there.
We're under caution for the second time today in Las Vegas. Getting ready to go green as crew chief Paul Wolf looks over the tires that came off Brad Keselowski's car under this second caution of the day. Enter for a chance to win the new 2014 Chevy SS and a trip for 2 to Hendrick Motorsports and meet Team Chevy drivers Jimmy Johnson and Casey Kane. Visit winyourchevy.com now. For the first time today, the Penske cars have lost the lead because of 4 tire pit stops. Joey Logano will restart 12th and his teammate Brad Keselowski 13th. It's Hendrick Motorsports, Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon to restart on the front row.
Teammates replace teammates.
It looks like about our top 10 or 11 drivers changed just 2 right side tires, and I think all 3 of the Joe Gibbs drivers trying to get that track position went with just rights.
Martin Truex, Brian Vickers, row 2 as that Dodge Charger pace car heads for pit road. Here we go with the second restart of this 400-miler. Green flag. Jimmy Johnson well out in front of Jeff Gordon.
Yeah, Jeff Gordon. I mean, Jeff has told me, and I know Rick and I have talked about this, Jeff just struggles on restarts. I don't know why.
But he admits it. He said that's one of the things he wanted to improve on this year.
Yeah, he said he's got to figure out what he's doing wrong there because it just didn't go.
A lot of 3 wide mid-pack as they battle side by side here for 4th place. Kyle Busch inside Jeff Gordon. He's going to take the spot. A lot of tension on these restarts. Wow.
You know, how lucky can Kyle Busch be? He's going to get 2 tires and come down the pit, and somebody gets in his way and he got to stop. So back goes, oh, well, we'll take 4 then. And it's worked out perfectly for him. He's able to take 2 that time, and look where he is.
And Lady Luck riding with Brad Keselowski, who would have had to make a green flag pit stop.
Exactly.
Had that caution not come out. So as we get into this next green flag run, Keselowski is settled in 10th behind Casey Kane and ahead of Denny Hamlin. Let's go to Chris Devoto for today's Subway Fresh Take.
Well, a lot of people were surprised with the 2's pit strategy with crew chief Paul Wolf. You guys stayed out when others came in. Why that strategy?
Yeah, just trying something a little different. Our car was handling really well there early in the race, so I think Brad was expecting some more would stay out with him, but I think guys needed to work on their cars.
You're in Vegas. Why not gamble?
That's our Subway Fresh Take. They are now in 9th. Behind Matt Kenseth, ahead of Denny Hamlin.
All I'll say about that gambling is it doesn't always pay off.
But Paul Wolf is definitely a gambler.
I like it. I mean, I love a guy that'll take a chance, but you better not go the well too many times.
That is Jeff Burton in the 66. Ricky Stenhouse working the high side for 17th.
Yeah, Jeff Burton running a limited schedule for Michael Waltrip Racing and doing a lot of testing here in 2014 for that organization. You know, when I look at Jimmy Johnson leading this race, he's had a great start to 2014. 5th in the Daytona 500, 6th at Phoenix last week. But he said after Phoenix, we are a little behind on the rules of 2014 because at the end of 2013, my team didn't focus on it. We stayed focused on 2013, and it paid off winning their 6th championship. But I think they are slowly gaining on it. Krista, I think they're slowly gaining on this racetrack, too.
And it's hard to say, Larry Mack, when you finish 5th and 6th in the first 2 races that you're having necessarily a down year, but the bar is set so high for this 48. Right now, Jimmy Johnson just saying his race car is still just a little bit on the free side.
I know the 48 is leading the race, but the guy that I'm impressed with, Larry, is a guy that started the weekend off out here with a ton of trouble. That 78 car, Martin Truex Jr., Todd Berrier, they blew an oil line off on the opening lap of practice. And you talking about a disgusted driver. Martin Truex jumped out of that car. He was not a happy guy. But they have made a huge improvement in the car, and look at him right now, running second and running well.
In a rough start to 2014, dead last in the Daytona 500 with an engine failure, and nothing at all last week, 22nd at Phoenix.
Let's go to the opposite end of the chart. Dale Earnhardt Jr. coming in here with 2 top 2 finishes and currently third after starting back in 14th. He's 2.8 seconds off the lead. Lapping within a tenth of Jimmy Johnson right now. Could this be his year?
Well, he's got the numbers to say that it is, Mike. I mean, he's had 5 straight top 5s. That's the longest. He's had 7 straight top 10s. He's finished top 2 in 5 of the last 10 races. He turned some of those second and some of those thirds into wins. Junior could be the man.
Now, here's the trouble with going to the refrigerator making a big sandwich. When you left, Kyle Busch was 41st. He's 4th. Made a big drive up through the pack, had a quick pit stop, got a good restart. He's in the top 5, as is Jeff Gordon.
Yeah, Jeff started all the way back in the 15th position, but we were talking the other day. It's been a long time since we've seen the Jeff Gordon we're seeing now. He's relaxed, he's having fun, and obviously he's running well. 88 wins, but the last time Jeff started a new season with 2 consecutive top 5 finishes, as he has right now in 14, was all the way back in 1997.
Remember when he told Michael Waltrip in pre-race he just hoped he could stay with the 4? Well, Jeff is 5th, while the 4, Harvick, is back in 12th. Here is Austin Dillon, the man who replaced Kevin Harvick at Richard Childress Racing. The rookie is 6th right now, 5.4 seconds off the lead. That's your top half dozen at 59 laps, 288 to go. You're watching NASCAR on Fox.
Wednesday, first round of the Big East Tournament live from Madison Square Garden as Butler battles Seton Hall and DePaul takes on Georgetown. Coverage at 6:30 Eastern on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go with Michael Waltrip, Chris Myers, watching from Las Vegas, where Jimmy Johnson, a 4-time winner here in the 3rd race of the season, has yet to cash in victory lane, but he is your leader. 19 of the 65 laps in this 267-lap, 400.5-mile race. And there is Kyle Busch, Joe Gibbs Racing in second in a Toyota.
Yeah, and I'm really impressed with these Gibbs cars. We talked about how practice all weekend long has been a struggle for this group. But look, Kyle Busch used some track position, some strategy to get up in the top 5. He's moved to second. Matt Kenseth, he started in 29th, Chris. Denny Hamlin, 27th. They've driven up to 6th and 12th, respectively. So these hot temperatures, slippery conditions the drivers are faced with are playing right into Joe Gibbs Racing's hands.
Kenseth on the pre-race said it's a new year, but Joe Gibbs Racing, they won 7 of the 1.5-mile tracks of the 11 last season. He won 4 of those. It seems like whatever the Toyota speeds have been up to this point, they have this kind of track figured out.
Well, we talked about how important that is. This is where you're going to win a championship running on tracks like this, and those cars seem to be coming to life.
Meanwhile, Dale Earnhardt Jr. at 4th in his 15th Las Vegas race. Mike, his best finishes so far 2nd. That was in 2003 and 2008.
Thanks, Chris. Jimmy Johnson's lead over Kyle Busch now 2.7 seconds. As we ride with Junior in 4th, Martin Truex down to the inside trying to hold Junior at bay.
One
and
thing
you see the difference in the lines
that's what I
already.
was going to say, Mike. One thing I'm noticing, if you watch Dale Jr., he likes that high line. Of course, Martin Truex in the 78, he's been running on the bottom, but everybody is starting to migrate up the hill here, and more guys are second-place cars running up high. And the 42 car of Kyle Larson, no surprise there. He's up against the wall right here in 3 and 4. So everybody's found another groove to use.
Krista?
Well, just a few laps ago, Mike, Martin Truex was in second. He's drifting back, and the reason is he is loose and getting looser as the race goes on.
Truex now in 4th. Jeff Gordon about half a second behind him, 5th. Now, earlier on a caution flag pit stop, Reed Sorensen had a tire get away from their crew and roll across pit road into the grassy area. They were not penalized for that, but this is their pit monitor camera. That's why. That's what happened. Kurt Busch coming out of his pit, knocking a crewman to the ground and sending that tire out across pit road.
Yeah, that tire carrier, sometime he'll come around the back of the car with that tire hanging out there, and the guy exiting his pit box will clip that tire, and I think that's what happened there.
Yeah, it's a crew member playing with about a tire and wheel that weighs 70-something pounds, oh, by the way, with a 3,500-pound race car.
Jeff Gordon gets by Martin Truex, and that'll change fourth place.
Yeah, Martin, something's happening to Martin there. He's been falling off the pace here the last several laps. I don't know if something wrong with the car, just handling gone away, but he's really dropped back here a little bit over the last few laps.
Truex falls to 6th. There's Austin Dillon closing in the number 3 from 7th. Matt Kenseth.
You know, Mike, you just never can count that Kenseth guy out. I mean, he's so smooth, he's so good, and he's pretty sly. I'll never bet against him, particularly on a mile and a half.
You know, Darrell, we're 20 laps into this run since that restart, 20-plus laps, and I think enough drivers went with just 2 right-side tires that for our top 6 or 7, it's actually paying off pretty good right now.
Trevor Bayne and Jeff Burton. A.J. Allmendinger in the picture there.
Yeah, the fastest car I see right now, Mike Larry, is Kyle Busch, and he is a couple of tenths quicker sometimes than Jimmy Johnson, and he seems to be gaining on Johnson.
And he has been for about the last 10 laps, Darrell, by running the high line in turns 1 and 2, while Johnson had been running the bottom. 74 laps complete in the Kobalt 400 in Las Vegas.
You're watching NASCAR on Fox.
79 laps complete. We have a new leader. Kyle Busch has passed Jimmy Johnson as we take a closer look at today's race action with Sprint. In NASCAR all-time history, most victories on mile-and-a-half tracks. Jimmy Johnson holds that record. Switch now to the new Sprint family plan. For as low as $25 per month each on the Sprint network, your friends and family can get unlimited talk, text, and a gigabyte of data. Go to sprint.com/speed.
Mike had 48 cars like it flipped a switch. He was running pretty quick lap times, and all of a sudden he dropped off 2 or 3 tenths, 4 there at one time. That's how Kyle Busch in the 18 got by him, and now Dale Jr. is working on him right here. It's coming off turn 4. And he makes a pass. So the 48, all of a sudden, Larry, the tires just went off, I guess.
But I will say, for the naysayers that say you can't pass at a mile-and-a-half racetrack, should have been watching Kyle Busch in that 18 car, but also Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 88. He's been picking them up and laying them down.
Well, Kyle had a lot of practice in yesterday's race, having to start at the back due to unapproved adjustments and drive all the way almost to the front. Now, Clint Boyer started 3rd, ran up front for quite a while. Now he's dropped to 17th, Matt.
And Mike, he was a victim of the pit strategies. While so many other contenders took 2, he took 4, and then he was mired back in 17th. Now, much like a dirt racer who searches around for moisture to find grip, Boyer's been trying to move around to try to get the car a little more on the tight side. But his biggest issue is 2 free on entry, 2 free on exit, and he can't run the top.
Unfortunately, that's where you're going to have to if you're going to make your passes. 4 and 18 are all the rim ride 1 and 2. I know you can't run up there. I'm just telling you. Run to work on and get it where you can.
I mean, it's pretty bad. You can't run the bottom. I can't run the top, and my car doesn't drive too good. What am I supposed to do?
But, Darrell, what we are seeing is a lot what we saw in practice and even in the nationwide insurance race yesterday. Immediately, they started running the top in 1 and 2. We talked about the bumps in the bottom. A lot of drivers are still running the bottom in 3 and 4, but we're definitely seeing that groove move up higher and higher like you see right there with Dale Earnhardt Jr. in that 88.
I tell you, him, Kevin Harvick, the 42 of Kyle Larson, they're not going to have a whole lot of room left up there in that high line if they keep going up.
Here comes Harvick against Martin Truex Jr. He restarted 16th and is challenging for 6th.
Yeah, I think with Kevin Harvick in the 4, and I'm also throw Brad Keselowski in the 2 car in the mix, that's a couple of drivers that changed 4 tires. I think they're starting to pay dividends now the longer we get into this run, which we're now within about 8 to 10 laps of what will be green flag stops again.
But there goes your leader at the line now, and look how much time they've lost. I mean, well, here comes Logano off turn 4. Already leader's gone by. He is almost a half lap behind Kyle Busch. by virtue of 2-4. One taking 2, one taking 4.
Yeah, Joey Logano is running exactly where he was essentially on that restart. One of the drivers that went with 4 tires. He's not backed up, but he's certainly not moved ahead like his teammate Brad Keselowski.
No, he led for most of the first 44 laps, but now he seems to be stuck right at about 12th position. We're not far from green flag pit stops. Let's get a preview, beginning with Matt.
Kyle Busch yarding the competition at this juncture, Mike. And March, the most productive month, chasing its 7th win in March. The car was free on the first run. They tightened him up, and it was a tick too tight. And then a few moments ago, he came on the radio and told Dave Rogers, do not change a thing. We are awesome. Krista?
Dale Earnhardt Jr. continuing to make grounds. He said right now his car is better in 3 and 4, tight into 1. Meanwhile, his teammate Jimmy Johnson dropping back because he's just a little bit too loose. Steve?
Well, Krista, Matt Kenseth took 2 tires on the last stop, and they got great track position. He just recently said, I'm a little tight on this run. I started off good, and then the rear of the car was getting looser, but I'm okay.
Thanks, Steve. David Reagan has begun the round of green flag pit stops, as he did at Phoenix, in a lap or 2 ahead of the rest of the cars.
Remember, Mike, these green flag pit stops entering pit road speeding penalties were big.
Ding, ding, ding. David Reagan.
Hello.
Too fast.
Well, again, we had 19 of them yesterday in that nationwide insurance race.
You just can't. It's almost impossible to get down off the racetrack and get woed up to where that line is. I think I would suggest they move the line, but that's what I would do.
And Darrell, pit road speed is 45, but remember, they give them up to 49.999. They almost give them 5 miles per hour as a buffer.
But Larry, look where the line is. I mean, you're hardly off the racetrack until you hit the cone, so whew, not much time.
Jeff Hammond.
Hey guys, down here right off of turn 4, we can see these lines are starting to move up, and one of the reasons why has to do with this track temperature continues to climb each and every time. It keeps going up. Right now we're about 100 degrees on the exit of turn 4, and I think that's part of the reason all these guys are chasing a super slick racetrack.
Thanks, Jeff. Kyle Busch putting Greg Biffle a lap down.
Leader on.
And here comes Joey Logano, who led 44 laps earlier in this race, along with Casey Kane. Ryan Truex is in, and Kevin Harvick.
And this will definitely be 4 tires because you've got to fill that fuel cell up with Sunoco race fuel.
Let's watch his 22 car and see what he does down here. He's coming into his pit box now. Looks like a clean stop so far. It looks like only right sides to me. Got it done. Now they're going for 4, Larry, again.
Yeah, the 2 left side tires are almost free because of having to wait on fuel. You can see they're already changing the left sides on Casey Kane, and they're still dumping the fuel. There you see Logano on the 22 away.
A.J. Allmendinger done with his stop. Was Allmendinger, not Harvick, that came in. Ryan Newman's in. Danica Patrick in and out, as is Michael McDowell. Here's Michael Annett.
Here comes Jeff Gordon. He's on pit road.
Tony Stewart behind him, and then Martin Truex and Austin Dillon.
Getting busy down there, boys.
Right sides for Newman there.
And this is one of those tracks where you can't stay out too long when you have all these drivers coming to pit road to get 4 fresh tires. See Jeff Gordon here in the 24 getting his 4 tires. Martin Truex Jr. the 78. Michael Annett, Tommy Baldwin Racing, the 7 crew. You know, one of the things that these drivers also fight with their crews, these things are down on the ground. They've actually had a little bit of an issue getting the tires on and off during these stops.
Trevor Bayne in, Alex Bowman, Greg Biffle. Now Kevin Harvick comes to the pit lane. David Gilliland, Cole Witt, Paul Menard, Justin Allgaier, Denny Hamlin, and more.
See Kyle Busch, though, our leader in that 18, he continues to make circles around this 1.5-mile racetrack while a lot of drivers coming to pit road for 4 Goodyear tires.
Kurt Busch is in. Jamie McMurray getting service. Jeff Burton. And now the petty cars. Eric Almirola and Marcus Ambrose.
See Denny Hamlin getting 4 tires. The last time he was on pit road, they went with just 2 on his car.
Wow, Kyle Larson whistled it onto pit road. He really had to work to get that thing down to pit road speed.
And Mike, he was one of the drivers we actually watched him practice coming onto pit road yesterday in his 42 car.
Casey Mears in as they go for 4 tires on Kyle Larson.
Yeah, when you're a rookie, Larry, I mean, that's something you got to work on all the time, is you getting the car on pit road and getting it on there without losing a lot of time and not getting a penalty. So done a nice job of practicing that yesterday.
Jimmy Johnson in for his stop right at the start-finish line. Matt Kenseth comes in with him. So too Timmy Hill and Clint Boyer.
Kyle Busch leading. He's on pit road now for his 4 tires. He's right at the entrance of pit road, so he has to get woed down a little quicker than some of the other drivers.
Oh, remember I said Kyle Larson was flying it in there? Ding, ding, ding.
Hello.
Too fast.
And the penalty is a drive-through penalty down pit road. You don't have to stop in your pit box. Just come down pit road at the 45 miles per hour.
That's the penalty if you just do it right the first time. If you don't go down, if you speed again, then you got to stop and go.
Quick service for Kyle Busch. He is in and out. Ricky Stenhouse in. Dale Earnhardt Jr. picks up the lead, and now he's on pit road along with Brad Keselowski.
Here comes Dale Jr. He's coming down here. See what his guys can do.
Carl Edwards done and away.
He's away.
Finishing up on Brian Vickers. Dale Jr. on the left. Stenhouse leaving. 4 tires for Jr. and Keselowski. 2 pits in front of him.
I think we've cycled through the green flag pit stops now, and it looks like to me right now Kyle Busch in the 18 on the right-hand side of your screen. Now it looks like he's going to be back in the lead.
Looked like there might have been some issues with the 2 car on that pit stop, Larry. It's a little long to me. Not sure what happened.
Didn't have a watch on Kyle Busch, but Dave Rogers' crew made a very fast stop for Kyle.
Maybe that's
he
what
is
happened.
back out with the lead. "103 laps complete, and what a great job by the staff here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. This place is pretty well packed for this Sprint Cup race. They do a great job promoting out here. You can't be anywhere in Nevada and not know this race is going on today. And look at that full grandstand. That shows it.
Now we talk about Kyle Busch, your leader here, having a 4-second lead over Jimmy Johnson. The last set of green flag pit stops. Right here is what the driver does on pit road, getting on and getting off. Right here is the pit stop. You can see about a half a second better for Kyle Busch's team, and the net was a little over a second that they gained on that set of green flag pit stops.
All right, let's recap those stops, beginning with Matt.
Like Kyle Busch, the class of the field for the past 2 runs, and exceptional pit work by the over-the-wall guys. He had an interesting angle where it looked like he was almost going to overshoot his pit. He stopped deep in the box, but Jake Simonera, the rear tire changer, he caught up to the car. Kyle, no changes, no comments about the car since the stop. Meanwhile, the 27 of Paul Menard quietly working the bottom half of the top 10. The last run, the car started out solid, had good comfort, and then it transitioned to being too tight. Just a slight adjustment on the 27. Steve, he's working on his 3rd straight top 10 here at Vegas.
Well, Matt, remember how good Joey Logano was at the start of the race? Prior to that last stop, he told his crew chief, Todd Gordon, I have no rear tires left. I'm out of control out here. They said, we'll take a big swing at it, which included 4 tires and a spring rubber in the right rear. On board with Kevin Harvick. He's been fighting loose. He says he's a little bit free, but he's also moving towards the front.
Amen, Burns.
Yeah, he's moving up.
He's on it.
Jeff Gordon saying his car has been a bit too tight getting into the center of the turn, but then loose when he gets off the turn. But he did say, right even before that pit stop, that his car is better than it had been earlier in the race. They did 4 tires on that stop. Meanwhile, Austin Dillon, who started 4th, currently running in the 11th spot, he had talked about a vibration. They took 4 tires, couldn't find anything wrong with the tires, and he said his car is not taking off as well on 4 tires as it did earlier in the race on 2.
Thanks, Krista. He's back at 11th.
I tell you, I've been watching the 4 and the 88. It's kind of interesting. The 4 ran up on Dale Jr. in the 88 on that bottom line right there where he's running and drove by Dale Jr. Dale Jr. next time by went to the bottom. Kevin went to the Harvick, went to the top, and Dale Jr. went back by Harvick. But now they're swapped out and Harvick's pulling away. But those 2 guys are having a heck of a race.
And last time by, they were both quicker than our leader, Kyle Busch. Jimmy Johnson had the fastest lap last time by.
They're fun to watch because one time they'll go low, one time they'll go high. They'll swap out and see who's got the best line, and they've been racing pretty hard against each other right here.
Little bit of, what do you call it? Co-opetition between those two. As Kyle Busch leading Las Vegas. Thanks to Aaron Paul for helping out with our pre-race show today. Here's a fellow who has a need for speed, and he's getting it gone, Kyle Busch, but he's going to have to look in his mirror because while we were in break, Jimmy Johnson cut that lead almost in half. And now the top 5 are all within 4 seconds of the race leader, Kyle Busch. Well, we asked you to show us how you get ready for race day, so let's take another KFC social media pit stop and get a look at how do you KFC. Starting them young with a pre-race ritual. How about that? That's how you KFC. 115 laps complete, 152 to go. And it's now just 2 seconds from Kyle Busch back to the new second-place driver, Kevin Harvick. What's up with our leader, Matt?
Mike, when the second and third place cars started to close on Kyle Busch, the reason he keyed to Mike and told his team, I may have a problem. The concern was he might have a tire going down. He tried to feel it out for a lap or two, keyed to Mike again and said, I believe we are okay. But he was concerned at a point he might have a flag.
Yeah,
watching Jimmy Johnson gain some ground on the track. One of the reasons he's changing his line. Chad Knaus's crew chief told him, you need to figure out a way to run the top of the racetrack. That is the fastest way around, and it's working.
You know, one thing that's been going on with Kyle Busch, the leader, you see Justin Allgaier in the 51 just drive by him. He has been caught up in traffic big time. He's catching everybody in the wrong place.
Yeah, watch this. So coming off turn 4 here, there's cars everywhere. He's got nowhere to go. He's got to get out of the throttle and look for a place to get by these guys. That cost him a ton of time right there.
Yeah, Kevin Harvick is now in that 4 car only a half a second back of our leader Kyle Busch in the 18.
Yeah, well, I think that 4 car is the best car on the racetrack right now. Rodney Childers, those guys, they made great changes, and they are going somewhere.
Teammates fighting for third here. Jimmy Johnson inside Dale Jr.
You know, watching these two guys race each other, Jimmy Johnson in the 48, Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 88. Dale Earnhardt Jr. said this week, since they moved those two teams together in the same shop, that they actually lean on each other a lot over different things on and off the racetrack.
Well, there's just been a lot of co-opetition going on in those groups. I mean, even with Kevin Harvick and the Stewart-Haas group, that alliance that Hendrick has with some of the other teams, it pays big dividends.
Wow, Dale Jr. almost ran over that car in the back straightaway. Parker Kligerman, the 30. The rookie was trying to stay up and out of the way, which got him in the way.
Yeah, but he did a pretty good job of holding his line, and that's what you tell rookies.
Right.
Don't move. Just stay wherever you are, and we'll figure out how to get around you.
But two things was going on there. Dale Earnhardt Jr. got held up, but Brad Keselowski in that white number 2, he has definitely been moving toward the front. Remember, he got a little behind by going with 4 tires earlier, but now he's making his way back up, running in 4th.
All right, closing in on halfway. Jeff Hammond, have you found any shade yet?
Hadn't found any shade yet, but I did find Greg Zipadelli down in turn 4 when I was down there a moment ago. He was watching the cars go around the racetrack. He came back up to the 14th pit. Tony Stewart got Chad Johnson off the box, is telling him what he saw down there to try to help them get this car better for Tony Stewart. He's going in on the right front and then all of a sudden pivoting on the right rear. The car is very unstable. He's back in 32nd position. This veteran crew chief trying to help out Chad Johnson get that car fixed.
Well, Darrell, you and I were talking to a commercial break. It's a little bit of a head scratcher. We know different drivers are looking for different things, but we have Kevin Harvick running second. We have the other 3 Stewart-Haas drivers running outside the top 20.
Yeah, I mean, the 4 car is obviously the best car in that stable, but just now saw the 2 turns 3 and 4, got up in that high line, got into loose stuff, and they got it into the wall. So that charge he was making is going to get a little bit of a setback here. You'll see him down here. He goes, car gets a little wiggly loose, goes up the hill. Not real serious. Didn't hit it real hard, but just enough right rear damage that could cause him some problems.
He was the 4th place car and now drops to 6th behind Jeff Gordon.
And where that car stepped out on him, we were seeing in practice yesterday right there, speed still well over 170 miles per hour.
And Larry, this track has those transitions in it where you come down the straightaway, it kind of flattens out. Flattens out a little.
Panel. I don't see anything major like hanging off or anything. It's definitely marked up, but that's the extent I can see.
That's Keselowski spotter Joey Meyer.
Good information. Yeah, I was going to say that transition, you just lose a little grip right there on corner entry.
144 to go. Kyle Busch, the race leader, as Brad Keselowski gets up against the wall.
NASCAR on Fox Live from Las Vegas. Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch battling for the top spot with Jimmy Johnson and Dale Earnhardt Jr. Moments ago, this is the pass that gave Kevin Harvick, last week's winner, the lead.
Yeah, he just works the inside so well on Kyle Busch and is able to drive around Kyle as they hit the back straightaway. That car, as the boys up top said, has really come to life.
Time now for the Fox Sports 1 mid-race report, nearing the halfway point. First portion of this race, the lead has been shared by Joey Logano in a Ford, Jimmy Johnson in a Chevy, and Las Vegas native Kyle Busch in a Toyota. And worth watching, 2-time Vegas winner Carl Edwards. In the last 7 races on this mile-and-a-half track, he has the best average finish today, up to 5th, his best so far. But Darrell Waltrip, who are you keeping an eye on?
Well, I've been watching Kevin Harvick for quite some time now, and he just took the lead. You know, if I'm Kevin Harvick, I'm thinking this is just a big Phoenix, because that car was on a rail in Phoenix, and they got her dialed in again today. Rodney Childers, great job, buddy.
I love this guy, Brad Keselowski. He's so loose right now. We saw him get in the wall earlier. He's sideways, but he's driving the heck out of that car. Larry McReynolds, I think he's just one adjustment away from getting it where he needs it so he can drive up there and battle for the lead.
Yeah, Michael, I'm watching Kyle Busch because after that hiccup on that pit stop at lap 17, he went from 17th back to 41st. It took him 55 laps to get back to the lead. I think he's 1 or 2 adjustments, Steve Burns, from getting back in the lead.
Well, Larry, listening to Matt Kenseth on the radio, his team did a fabulous job of getting him track position up inside the top 10. But just recently, he said, I feel like I'm getting looser. He feels like the rear tires don't have as much grip as he needs.
Well, Steve, an odd statistic from our Wizard of Odd, Jimmy Hicks. The driver running second at halfway has won 3 of the last 4 Las Vegas races. Right now, that's Kyle Busch. Chris?
Well, and Mike, there's so far been 3 pit road speeding penalties that will no doubt figure in the second half of this race, along with those restarts. Remember last week when Kevin Harvick had to fight off challengers in restarts to win, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. has led a couple laps trying for his first ever top 5 finish in 3 races to start the season. But things are heating up here in Las Vegas as we head toward the second half. This has been your Fox Sports 1 mid-race report.
138 laps complete, and this round of green flag pit stops has begun. Steve Burns?
Rodney Childers, the crew chief on the Ford, just asked Kevin Harvick if the last adjustment was good. He said one word, yes. 4 tires and a small adjustment for Kevin Harvick, Matt.
Steve, in the last green flag run, Kyle Busch was one of the last leaders to hit pit road, and that's the game plan right now. At this point, they're about 9 laps away from their stop. Kyle says the car is a little tight to the center of the corner, still cutting decent, but it is tight, and the exit is almost flawless. Krista?
For 4-time Vegas winner Jimmy Johnson, he started the run a little bit tight. Then he talked about a little bit of a bounce, but as the run has gone on, he said he stays tight into the corners, but is free off. And Chad Knaus just coming on the radio saying they're going to pit this time.
Ryan Newman, Denny Hamlin have made their stops. Martin Truex is in. Here comes Kevin Harvick. And as Krista pointed out, Jimmy Johnson on his way to pit road.
And with those 2 drivers coming to pit road for 4 Goodyear tires, here comes Jeff Gordon in the 24 as well. This is going to force the hand, I think, on most of the other ones to get in there and get those 4 tires.
Paul Menard to the pit lane as well. Here's Harvick's stop. Joey Logano is in. So is Danica Patrick, last year's runner-up Casey Kane, Austin Dillon, Carl Edwards, and more.
And there you see Kyle Busch on the left-hand side. He had planned on going further, but when Harvick and Johnson and those others came, it forced Dave Rogers and Kyle Busch to make their stop.
Ricky Stenhouse, Trevor Bayne in as well. You see Busch's service. on the left of your screen.
You see a lot of windshield tear-offs coming off because we're well past the halfway point, and that sun is starting to become a little bit of an issue.
Yeah, it does. As the sun sets over here, it gets in your eyes. But the four tires are the way to go definitely on these green flag stops, Larry, because the speeds have fallen off so much. Lose a lot of time when the tires wear down.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 88, Clint Boyer, Ricky Stenhouse, Marcus Ambrose, all pitting along with Jamie McMurray.
And handed the lead to Brad Keselowski in the 2 car there, but you see him making his green flag pit stop as well now.
Greg Biffle, Jeff Burton in. Allgaier finishing up. Casey Mears coming to the pit lane. And Matt Kenseth is your new leader. Last year's winner.
See if they do anything to the right rear of that 2 car where he got in the wall. Looks pretty good from here.
And Ricky Stenhouse gets hit with a speeding penalty. Too fast coming onto pit road.
Here comes Matt on Kenseth on pit road.
Kenseth surrenders the lead.
Should cycle us through the green flag stops and hand the lead back to Kevin Harvick in that 4 once Matt makes his stop here.
Well, the only car on the lead lap who has not pitted is Kyle Larson. They've left the rookie out there. He was last on pit road at lap 96.
Well, he's trying to overcome that penalty he got earlier. The best thing that could happen for Kyle Larson would be a caution right now.
Kenseth pits. That'll give the lead to Kevin Harvick. And the black flag waves over Ricky Stenhouse's number 17 to come in and serve the speeding penalty.
And this puts every driver, regardless of when they made that green flag stop, in a 2-stop window.
Speeding penalty is always funny. I've never heard a driver yet say, yeah, I was doing it, I'm guilty. They all say, there ain't no way.
Josh Wise pits back in the race after 51 laps in the garage. Kevin Harvick is your leader. 150 laps complete here in Las Vegas. We'll add our condolences to the Ford family. Ford has been part of NASCAR since the very beginning, and they've had cars on America's racetracks for over 100 years. Kevin Harvick, your leader now, over Kyle Busch by 2 seconds. Let's recap pit stops. Steve.
And Mike, the really good news for Kevin Harvick and his fans is that they've made very, very small adjustments. They're getting better and better as this race goes on. They took 4 tires and made a very small wedge adjustment. Meanwhile, Joey Logano, things just are not going well for Logano. He restarted P13 earlier in this race after leading a lot, but they just can't make enough adjustments to get his car tightened up. Let's go to Matt Yoakum.
Steve, now the game plan for Kyle Busch, we told you he was expected to pit at a certain lap number, and then when the leaders started to peel off and hit pit road, Dave Rogers called an audible and called Busch to pit road. On his way to pit road, Kyle said, if you want me to pit with the leaders, we can go ahead and do that, but I can still continue to fill out this run. My car is that good. No changes on the 18. Meanwhile, the 42 of young Kyle Larson, impressive rookie, one of the best cars in practice. He ran as high as 3rd, but because of that pit road speeding penalty, he has paid the price, and he's trying to work his way back. Currently 25th. The car all race long has been a touch on the tight side. No changes, Krista, on his last stop.
Well, Matt, there was a little bit of panic in Brad Keselowski's pit because as he took off on this run, he said his car was just way, way too tight. He asked crew chief Paul Wolf, what adjustment did we make? Paul said it was track bar, but it was only 1 round. Brad said, it's hitting the splitter. It is just too tight. But it took about 10 laps before he said, car is taking off. It's coming back to him. Meanwhile, for Jeff Gordon, 4 tires. Caution out.
Something on the back straightaway has put us under caution for the 3rd time today. This is lap 155. And all 3 cautions today have been for debris. That may be a break for Jamie McMurray. I believe he'll be the free pass car.
Yeah, he will.
First car 1 lap down. After long green runs today here in Las Vegas.
And I think what we will see here is we'll see a lot of 2-tire stops. Steve, this still does not put us in that 1-stop window.
And Larry, just listening to Kevin Harvick, he told Rodney Childers, I just hit that debris hard. He said, I center punched it with the splitter. He said, I hit it hard.
Wow.
I don't see any damage. At least nothing visible there. You see anything, Mike, Larry?
No, I don't. Darrell, looks pretty clean here. The grill screen not pushed back or anything, but
looks fine.
You hit anything at over 100 miles an hour and you're going to hear a big noise, as I'm sure Kevin Harvick did. So pit road will be open this time. We'll have 112 laps to go. Kyle Larson was out there 5 laps longer than anybody else trying to stretch it, but of course the caution flag negates all that, and that strategy kind of goes out the window. He remains 1 lap down, along with a whole group of about 15 cars. Matt?
And Kyle Busch's guys up on the wall waiting for the 18 machine to hit pit road. Very good stop on the last time. 2 tires for Kyle Busch. The call from Dave Rogers this time. Chris Devoto.
Jimmy Johnson, Chad Knaus calling the decision to pit. Chad reminding him stay tight to the wall. They made a 4-tire change on the last stop and a slight adjustment to help Jimmy with the handling. Steve?
Crystal right side tires going on for Kevin Harvick right now. Just 2 tires for the 4.
And again, I don't find it surprising. They only had about 10 or 12 laps on those tires.
Yeah, 18 did the same thing. They took 2.
Now, Larry, everybody was on pit road about 14, 15 laps ago. Could some of those cars a lap down, stay out, take the wave around, get back on the lead lap? Would you risk it?
It might be a great time to try that. You saw Jeff Gordon, Dale Earnhardt Jr. fuel only.
You're in Vegas. Would you risk it?
Sure. Under caution at 158 laps in Las Vegas. A good friend of ours, Dan Rotante, passed away this weekend. He worked tirelessly for Fox Sports over the last 18 years. Will be sadly missed. Our thoughts and prayers go out to his friends and family. Dan Rotante was 70. A debris caution and pit stops have put us with 109 laps to go, and it looks like 9 drivers chose not to pit and will take the wave around to get back on the lead lap. Brad Keselowski is the leader. Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, Jimmy Johnson, and Jeff Gordon are the top 5. We had 16 cars on the lead lap, and 4 of them are among our Toyota top performers, with Kyle Busch 2nd, Denny Hamlin 8th, Matt Kenseth just out of the top 10. Chris Myers.
Mike with Michael Waltrip, and if you weren't with us earlier, Joey Logano, who was the pole sitter in the 22, led 44 laps total the first lap of this race, which, by the way, the first time a leader of the first lap has led. They have not gone on to win the race. Kyle Busch in trouble in the pits, but then he works his way out of it. Dropped at 41st, but then worked his way back up to the lead. Kyle Busch has led the most laps in this race. Here on a restart, Jimmy Johnson taking advantage. You see Jeff Gordon falling back. Jimmy Johnson led for 30 laps in this race. Kyle Busch retaking the lead on lap 77, and then on lap 130, last week's winner Kevin Harvick passing Kyle Busch for the lead, and Harvick trying to win back-to-back races for the 3rd time in his career. His crew chief, Rodney Childers, said, hey, our Vegas car is a lot better than the Phoenix car, and so far, so good. But how about the recent strategy, Michael, about the Brad Keselowski, one of the favorites in this race, and your pick to stay out?
I just think I said he needed that one last adjustment to get to where he could go hard toward the front. He got that adjustment, and Paul Wolfe likes that car in the longer run, so they left it on the track, choosing to take advantage of some track position. We'll see if he can hold off that fast-running Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch.
And they're right behind him. Let's head back upstairs to Darrell Waltrip, Larry McReynolds, and Mike Joy.
Thanks, Chris. A little racing going on in the infield here in Las Vegas as well. A little discussion of position that happens out on the track as well. Up front, a Ford, a Toyota, and then 5 Chevrolets. Now, drivers that took the wave around and got back on the lead lap were Brian Vickers, A.J. Allmendinger, Trevor Bayne, and Jeff Burton. Kyle Busch has led the most laps today. Brad Keselowski out in front for the 3rd time as we go back to green with 107 laps to go. Dale Jr. did not get a great start. Hamlin pulls alongside 3 wide into turn 1.
And it looked like Kyle Busch in the 18 just for a second spun his tires right at the start-finish line, just a little bit.
Yeah, that seemed to be a problem today coming down to get these restarts. I've seen a number of guys do it. Saw Keselowski do it on the start, saw Jeff Gordon do it, and now Junior had a bit of an issue.
Boy, and they stack up back there. Look at Ryan Newman fighting for the bottom.
Whoa, 4 wide back there. Holy cow.
Yep. Larson, Edwards, And the 3 and the 16, and Carl Edwards wisely pedaled it and got out of that melee.
Are you kidding me? That was amazing.
Yeah, Greg Biffle in the 16. Here's some breaking news. He was sideways coming off turn 4. Off turn 2 as well.
Get a little heat in his tires, Larry. Just heating them up a tad.
So Dale Jr. settles out 7th. Here's the race for 8th. Paul Menard in the 27 right there. His wife Jen is expecting their first child, any minute, as Paul tries to complete these 400 miles and head home to North Carolina. Krista.
I want to give you an update on Denny Hamlin. You know, he started 27th. He is all the way up to the top 10, and he's having a pretty comfortable day. Talking with Darian Grubb, his crew chief, earlier today, he said, we weren't really alarmed with the fact that we didn't have the speed because we knew we had comfortability in our handling, so we didn't want to sacrifice the handling for that speed. They thought with the track being a little bit slicker, the sun out, they would be able to have a good race, and that's exactly what they're having. Denny's saying he just wants a little bit more security on entry.
Yeah, the last 2 stops under caution, Darian Grubb has elected to keep just 2 right side tires on Darian Grubb, fresh tires for that track position.
Riding with Jimmy Johnson in 4th, Kyle Busch just ahead.
You know, we were talking about Danica earlier, Danica Patrick in the 10 car. We were talking about her, how good she was in practice and how we couldn't figure out why they weren't running any better in the race. Right now, she's up to the 24th spot. She is 1 lap down, but she's running pretty good now, Matt. What are they saying?
DW, her lap times mirror that of the cars running in the top 10. Now, while her car was exceptional in practice, like her teammate Tony Stewart, her car has been on the free side, not able to get grip, not able to get it in the racetrack. And then she went back to a lesson that she learned from teammate Kevin Harvick. He told her, you're just jumping out of the gas and then in the brake. You know, stay in the gas as much as you can and trail brake to ease the transition of the race car. She started doing that over the last run. Her lap times have picked up steadily, and now her car looks pretty good. She just has to get that lap back now.
7th place, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Paul Menard.
But you look at Danica Patrick there. That's her teammate she's racing. A driver that's won 24 races and a championship, Kurt Busch. I know we want to beat her up about her performance, but look, she just drove away from Kurt Busch in that 41 car.
I just think, Larry, time and time again, I hear people, they give her advice. I think the more information, the more advice she can get from Kevin Harvick, for instance. She needs a good tutor, somebody to really come alongside of her and say, look, here's what you're doing wrong. Now, here's what the 88's doing right. He's going right by that 11 car.
Looking back at Denny Hamlin from Dale Earnhardt Jr., trying to extend his string of top 2 finishes where he started the season.
Darryl, you talked about it in the pre-race. You talked about it earlier. I know we talked about seeing a different Jeff Gordon. We're seeing a different Dale Earnhardt Jr. on and off the racetrack. Confidence to the max.
I've never seen him the way he is right now. This is the best I've seen since maybe back when he first started in the sport. He's just got a really good attitude right now, and I love the way he just approaches everything. Fans, sponsors, media. He's doing a great job.
He's had top 10s in the last 7 races. That's the longest stretch in his career. Brad Keselowski, your leader by a second over Kevin Harvick. 94 laps to go. Brad Keselowski's your leader. Here's a closer look at today's race action with sprint. Jimmy Johnson has the fastest lap of this race of 186.3 miles per hour. Switch now to the new Sprint family plan. Up to 10 friends and family get unlimited talk, text, and a gig of data for as low as $25 a month on the Sprint network. Visit sprint.com/speed or a Sprint store today. Looking at the race for 12th, last year's runner-up here, Casey Kane, in the midst of it. Now, Kevin Harvick is in second. He is 1 second behind Brad Keselowski, who's going to have to pit about 15 laps sooner than Harvick eventually. But, Steve, what's up with Harvick's car?
And we climbed up here with Rodney Childers. Rodney, we heard Kevin say he hit that debris with a splitter pretty hard. Is the car okay?
Yeah, I mean, everything looks okay. We didn't see any damage with it. The biggest thing right now, we got 2 tires on the right side, and the right side splitter's just hitting a little too hard. So once the air pressures get up, we should be okay.
Thanks, Rodney.
All right, good to know that Kevin hitting the splitter had nothing to do with the debris he hit.
Yeah, and again, I stress that they left the air pressure down so low in these tires that when you first go back out on them, the car is totally different than it is after they build up a little bit.
Remember, the pit window here is about 46 to 50 laps. We talked about it, Mike. Brad Keselowski, our leader right there, he pitted last on lap 142. He can go about lap 188. Now, all of these other drivers that pitted at lap 156, they can go to lap 302. Everyone still has to make 2 more pit stops, though.
I think that's the key, Larry, as long as you stay within the same, you know, if they got to make 2, we got to make 2. And so it doesn't really, you got to make them, so it doesn't really matter, I guess. I tell you, I've been watching Paul Menard, Larry. I mean, Paul Menard right now is running in the 5th spot. And he's been making some good moves around this racetrack, and he's closing in on the back of the 18 car right now.
Baby's going to need some shoes. Menard's had top 10s his last 2 races here. With 90 laps to go, how about a NASCAR on Fox Crank It Up, brought to you by Need for Speed in theaters everywhere, March 14th. .87 laps to go. Brad Keselowski out front, finished 3rd here last year, his only top 25 finish at Las Vegas. Can his strategy be the winning one?
You're watching NASCAR on Fox.
It's a big job getting Las Vegas Motor Speedway ready for the Kobalt 400 this week. The 48 team and driver Jimmy Johnson did their part to put the finishing touches on the huge infield grass logo using Kobalt rechargeable tools and paint. 315 gallons worth. Johnson runs 3rd behind Brad Keselowski and Kevin Harvick. Paul Menard up to 4th. And Kyle Busch now 5th. 1 Ford, 3 Chevys, and a Toyota in the top 5. But remember, Brad Keselowski has to pit 14-15 laps sooner than the rest of the leaders. Carl Edwards, the leading Roush Fenway Ford right now, just clearing Austin Dillon after a fierce battle that lasted several laps.
Yeah, we only have 2 Ford drivers running in the top 15 right now, and that's, of course, Brad Keselowski and Joey Logano. But when you look at the Roush Fenway drivers, when you think about Las Vegas Motor Speedway, you think about the Roush Fenway group. They won the very first 3 races here. Now, I know Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in the 17, he's outside the top 25. Rightly so, he had that pit road speeding penalty, but still, none of those 3 drivers are performing very well here today.
Larry, think about Keselowski leading the race. His teammate Logano is back there in 12th place. Different strategies. Remember, Paul Wolfe took some chances. He gambled and got the 2 car up front. 22 car was the fastest car here when they started the race, but they didn't do anything really trick in the pit, and they paid the price.
All right, let's check with Jeff Hammond, see if he's got a winning line for Las Vegas.
Mike, we talked at the very beginning of this show what was going to happen down in 1 and 2. The track was going to widen out, you'd run the top groove. But interesting enough, all of a sudden through 3 and 4, the guys that are leading this race, they're running the bottom line through there. And it looks to me like the 48 car is starting to really come alive as far as catching our 2nd place driver, Kevin Harvick. That low line through 3 and 4, but real high through 1 and 2.
Thanks, Jeff. 77 laps to go. Paul Wolfe has had contrary strategy all day long.
I mean, everyone has to pit 2 more times, right, Paul? Confirmed, I'm pitting 2 more times here. Pit chance, let's talk about our car, what we think we're going to need here to finish this thing out.
Kind of thinking we should go back on the track bar and get around
Darrell, how do you have a normal conversation at 185 miles an hour like that?
That's what makes him so good. And I always think about it, and I know I mentioned it before, but Brad Keselowski has a bigger windshield than everybody else. I've heard that from his car owner. And Brad sees things, and look, he raced here yesterday, and late in the race, he had the best car here. He held off Kyle Busch. And that's what he's looking at right now. What I got to do to be good when we get down to the end of this thing, and he's telling Paul everything he needs to know. And by the way, Paul just told him, don't worry about how many pit stops we're going to make. Tell me about your car.
But I think one reason that Paul Wolf did that strategy, let's go to Steve real quick.
I'm listening to Tim Fedewa, the spotter, talking to Kevin Harvick, and the crew down here has jumped to attention. It seems like there's some smoke in the 4-car, Larry, but again, listening to Tim Fedewa talk to Kevin Harvick.
I think, Steve, he may have tried to get onto pit road this last time, but was going too fast.
No, Mike, he's off the pace.
Yeah, definitely.
He's definitely off the pace.
He was the second-place car.
Well, we don't know exactly what's going on with Kevin Harvick just yet, but remember Michael Waltrip in the pre-race. This place, even though it's only a 400-mile race, hard on engines.
I really know what I got here. Something wrong with the brakes.
That's Kevin. He'll come to pit road as we stay green with 73 laps to go.
Got smoke here. Blowing up.
Well, Kevin says there's something wrong with the brakes, and I don't see any smoke coming out of the car now. So, and he's coming real slow, like he can't stop the car. They're over the wall. Looks normal here. You can see some smoke coming out from the hood now.
Steve?
At DW, I just heard Rodney Childers say it might be the right front hub. Tim Fedewa, also the spotter, saying we had a puff of smoke coming off turn 2. But again, Rodney Childers, he just said now something's rubbing the left front rotor. So big trouble here for Kevin Harvick.
Yeah, just shut it off.
And here's your leader on pit road, Brad Keselowski, scheduled stop. Krista.
Paul Wolf telling Brad Keselowski, watch out for that 7 car. He's 6 pit stalls in front of you. He's going to be pitting as well. You heard the radio transmission. The change that he wanted was that track bar. Also, the right rear grip is holding on better throughout a run than it has all race long.
Now, even though most of these drivers, like Jimmy Johnson, like Paul Menard at 27, that they can go a lot further, I think that stop by Brad Keselowski is going to force their hand and make them make a green flag stop here pretty quick.
Look. Battle for the lead. Paul Menard's going to try to take it from Jimmy Johnson.
It's a great run for Paul. He and Slugger Labby, they've been known to have great runs early in the year, and they're having one today.
He restarted 10th 100 laps ago and brings the Menard Chevrolet almost to the lead on this lap.
He's hanging tough on that outside going down into turn 1. That should pay off for him. He got a little run off of 2 there.
Lap car ahead in the high groove though, Darrell.
Yeah, but he's going to clear the 48 off 2, and he's on his way, buddy. He took the lead.
And you see Brian Vickers in that 55. He just made a stop. He has 4 fresh tires. That just goes to show you 4 fresh tires versus 40-something lap tires.
So new leader in Las Vegas, Paul Menard. 63 laps to go. Pit stops for Austin Dillon, Martin Truex, and Clint Boyer. Kevin Harvick has taken his car to the garage. They're going to replace a left front hub and try to get him back in the race. Matt?
And Paul Menard and Slugger Labby were looking to Las Vegas to jumpstart their season. Now they are on pit road, and Paul said the car was a little tight in the center, but the drive up, absolutely exceptional. 4 tires for this. Meanwhile, the 18 of Kyle Busch, he running in second position now. He said his car is either getting worse or the competition's getting better. And Dave Rogers said, Christopher, you're right on both counts. We messed up on our adjustments. The guys are up on the wall. He's coming in shortly.
For Jimmy Johnson, the adjustments have really been right on all day. Do we expect anything less as Jimmy makes his way onto pit road? They took 2 tires last time while their teammates took fuel only. Expect 4 tires on this stop. Steve?
And Krista, Matt Ketz is saying that his entry into the corners is loose, but his rear grip is better. Said he's just a little bit slower through the center.
Thanks, Steve. 4 tires for Kyle Busch. And it puts Dale Earnhardt Jr. into the lead ahead of his Hendrick teammate Jeff Gordon. Then Joey Logano, Matt Kenseth, and Jamie McMurray during this round of pit stops. Looks like Johnson and Kyle Busch are going to lead pit road together. Eric Almirola in this time, and green flag stops continue. 60 to go.
It's good for Junior to lead today because, you know, last Sunday he ran second in a race, but he never led the race. So good for him to get out there and get a few laps under his belt leading this thing, get some extra points, or one.
Ryan Newman in the 31 on pit road. There you see Kevin Harvick in the garage area talking to Greg Zipadelli. If you're going to burn a hub up, it's normally the left front because there's so much load. It's almost trying to pull the hub off the spindle.
Yeah, the big bearings on the inside and the little bearings on the outside in a hub, and of course on the left front, it's pulling on it all the time. And these air pressures and the way they run these cars, it's really hard on the left front spindle and hub.
Kurt Busch is in. Greg Biffle coming to the pit lane as well. There's Busch's stop on the right side of your screen. Danica Patrick in. There's Biffle as Earnhardt continues to circulate. He's running about 30.64, and that's about half a second slower than the drivers who are out there that just took on fresh tires.
Well, Larry, you said everybody's got to make 2 stops. So what do you think? They're just trying to get some insurance here, get them into a better position?
Well, it's a 267 lap race. Even if you go to the high side of the fuel window, that's 50 laps. That makes you, if you can get in by lap 217, you can make it to the end. We are 8 laps from that window right there. We may have some gamblers out there.
I believe that's what's happening there.
Jeff Gordon gets 4 tires. Matt Kenseth pitted far away from the wall, an indication that he will take 4. Larry, do you need 4 now, or is this to set you up where you might be able to get by with 2 on the next stop?
No, you get 4 now because you've got to wait on fuel. And Jeff Hammond, I think you're with Kevin Harvick.
Yes, I am, Larry. What happened? That car was awesome, and did that debris on the back straightaway that you said you hit cause this problem?
Well, it's hard to tell right now. It looks like the left front hub is locked shut, and the car just kind of lost the handling the last 15 or 20 laps and started to get really loose, which makes sense with that left front brake dragging like that. Just got to thank everybody on this team. They've done a great job, and our Jimmy John's Chevrolet was freaky fast again, and just got to keep doing what we're doing, and everything will be fine with cars like that.
Well, sorry about your bad break today, guys.
Thanks, Jeff. Denny Hamlin may have a problem. Carl Edwards just rocketed past him. Is he off pace, or does Edwards have a set of those 4 new?
No. I think Denny Hamlin and Darian Grubb in the 11, they may be trying to play the game and get to lap 216 or 17, but now here they're both going to be on pit road right now. I think what maybe Denny Hamlin wanted to do is let Carl Edwards in front of him. Yeah, it worked out better the way they come to pit road.
There you go.
Exactly.
There you go. That's it. So both Hamlin and Edwards are in the pit lane. Here comes Tony Stewart and Marcus Ambrose. We're still under green with 55 laps to go. Working our way through this round of pit stops. Brad Keselowski cycles back to the lead. He was in at lap 196. Most everyone else between 205 and 212. Now Brad had a 3.8 second lead when this round of pit stops began.
You know, the old driver in me always comes out when I get anywhere near some place where I think, you mean I could make it if? I might be able to make it if?
Can you say 1989 Daytona 500?
Nobody can go that far but me.
At 50 laps to go, there is a look at the left front hub that was removed from Kevin Harvick's car. Froze up solid. And Harvick is still in the garage. They hope to get him back on track, but he is now 40th. Brad Keselowski's now your leader by 5.7 seconds. He's increased his lead over Paul Menard during that round of pit stops. Let's get a recap beginning with Matt.
Mike Slugger, Labby, the crew chief for Paul Menard, is hoping that this is a good example of what their season could look like. They made a number of changes in the offseason. They hired 2 new engineers, one from Hendrick Motorsports and one from the Australian V8. They are seeing positive gains. Paul said the car biggest positive was on exit. Meanwhile, the 15 car of Clint Boyer, he has certainly had a day. He's been in the back. He's worked his way to the front. Currently in the 6th position. The car, if anything, Steve, was too tight on that last run. They told him you can run anywhere you want in 1 and 2, but you've got to be on the bottom in 3 and 4.
Matt, it was lap 210 for Matt Kenseth when he stopped as he took off. Jason Ratcliffe, the crew chief, said, We're 3 laps short of making it to the end on fuel. Meanwhile, Joey Logano said, I don't understand how I can be so bad in traffic when I was so good up front. I can't move up and I'm not moving back. Krista.
As the caution comes out, an update on Denny Hamlin. Darian Grubb, his crew chief, told me this morning they can go 55 laps on a fuel run. That is what they are trying to do to win this race. Remember, they stretched the fuel in the first race of the year, the Sprint Unlimited, and won it. Meanwhile, in the 88 pit stall, that is the game plan as well. Crew chief Steve Letarte telling his driver Dale Earnhardt Jr. over the radio, we are going to win this race on fuel conservation.
Thanks, Krista. 4th caution of the day. So far, they have all been for debris. This is for something that is on the front straightaway. And it will put A.J. Allmendinger back on the lead lap with the free pass. So Brad Keselowski doesn't have to worry about having that short fuel load where he's 20 laps to his last stop prior to that of Paul Menard and the rest of the leaders. Caution flag pretty much undoes all that. Let's have a look at our Ram race summary. 18 cars on the lead lap. That'll be 19 when we add Allmendinger after this caution. We've had 10 leaders and 19 lead changes, and so far 15 laps of caution. Kyle Busch has led 52, Brad Keselowski 51. Today, Guts, Glory, Ram. Pit road is open.
Here come all the leaders. They're going to come down here and they're going to get themselves some fuel, and the race will be on.
Matt?
And a number of the cars peeling off now. Kyle Busch was told fuel only on the 18 machine, and that's going to be the same game plan for Paul Menard in the 27. Krista.
Brad Keselowski coming in for 2 tires. They had to stop. Remember, their last stop was back on lap 196. But again, a call for 2 tires for Brad. Jimmy Johnson also pitting. Steve?
Matt Kenseth said, are you sure you want me to pit? Jason Radcliffe said, absolutely, pit, pit, pit. It's going to be fuel only for Matt Kenseth.
Thanks, Steve. I'm a little worried about Jimmy Johnson there. I'm not sure he was stopped long enough to get any gas. They kind of waved the gas can over the left rear of that car. Got that fuel probe in there for just a second or two. Hope it was enough. We'll show you a look at it as we go to break with 45 laps to go in Las Vegas. That is splash and go right there.
Oh, he's got more than he needs. He's good.
This season, Saturday baseball comes to America's new sports network, Fox Sports 1. It all starts April 5th. The new home for Saturday baseball is Fox Sports 1. You can find it on the channels listed on your screen or go to foxsports1.com to find your provider. Now, about that pit stop at Jimmy Johnson's. Well, we listened in.
1002. Go, go. Stop, 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 stop. Go, 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 go. Great plan, bud. Nice try. Jimmy, I'm sorry. You set it up perfectly.
A car was cutting into the pit stall in front of them. That's why Chad ordered Jimmy to stop so he wouldn't run into that car. And they got the rest of the fuel in.
But
whoa.
That beat the alternative right there, though, because it was not going to be pretty had he had got into that 78 of Martin Truex Jr.
So, Larry, we have 3 contraries up front for this restart.
Well, real quick, because we're going to go back racing here with 42 laps to go. When I look at our top 3, Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 88, he ran 55 laps that last time, pitted with 56 to go. Carl Edwards and Denny Hamlin, the 99 and 11, ran 56 laps the last time, and they were pitted with 55 to go. So I think with these cautions, these 3 drivers can make it.
Boy, Junior shot out there because Carl had a little bit of problem getting going, but Junior got him a nice jump on that start.
But look at Kyle Busch in that 18 car all the way at the bottom. He's going to get 2 of them and go up there to second.
And here comes Logano, the yellow car on the outside, trying to squeeze between the wall and Denny Hamlin and be a factor.
That 2 car down on the inside, he got a nice run off too. He's going to clear the 18, and he's going to go head hunting here. Whoops, he slipped up a little bit.
The difference between the 3 drivers who stayed out. Earnhardt's been near the front all day, while Edwards and Hamlin needed this kind of strategy to have a chance to win this race, and it's Earnhardt who's scooting away.
Well, and you think about Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Steve Letarte. Staying out gambling, they have nothing to lose. You win 2 races, your ticket's punched for the chase this year.
And that's what they knew. I mean, all the time after Daytona, they said, hey, we're in the chase. We can do whatever we want to.
And they are.
And they are right now.
Right.
And they're doing it well, I might add.
Logano showing some speed. He and Keselowski, remember, the Penske cars started on the pole. They've been fast all weekend. They are 3rd and 4th right now behind Earnhardt and Edwards.
Yeah, I just think Logano needed to get out of the traffic. He's been mired back here in about 10th or 12th place. Couldn't go anywhere. Now he's up here in clean air, and he's going somewhere now.
But that was a strong move that Carl Edwards in that 99 just put on Brad Keselowski in that 2. It wasn't that many laps ago. We were talking about how far back in the field that the Roush Fenway drivers were.
They made a nice change on Carl's car. I saw him coming through traffic before that last caution came out, and he was passing cars like he hadn't passed all day, so they did some nice adjustments on his car. He and Jimmy Finning, nice work.
Now things got real close here as Kyle Busch got up and actually into Joey Logano.
Give him a little shove. Hello.
Good throttle left. Who's struggling? Outside 22 and 6 back.
You can hear him, though. He jumped out of the throttle twice.
He tried.
And now Kyle is going to fall to Paul Menard coming back in the 27.
27 is stout, but I tell you right now, Larry, you're talking about the Ford. Dale Jr. way out there, no problem. But the 99, the 2, and the 22, 3 Fords all running 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
And actually, Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Carl Edwards, they just ran their fastest laps of this race here with about 38 laps to go.
Oh, Jr.'s going to kickstart his afternoon.
Into the night.
Maybe, if it works out.
How'd you like to start your season winning 2 of the first 3 races and winning on the 1.5 miles where we have 10 more 1.5 miles races this year?
Everybody said this is the bread and butter right here. If we're good here, we feel like we're going to be good everywhere we go the rest of the year. And by golly, right now we've seen some real good cars today.
We'll give you a bit of Fox Sports side by side as we race in Las Vegas with 37 to go. 32 laps to go in Las Vegas. On the left, Dale Earnhardt Jr., your leader by 2 seconds over Carl Edwards. And on the right, an ongoing battle over the last half dozen laps. 5th on back, Paul Menard, Ryan Newman, Kyle Busch, and Denny Hamlin.
Yeah, and then Casey Kane is joining the party too. So this is a pretty intense battle right here for the 4th, 5th, and 6th spot.
Meanwhile, Clint Boyer, who ran up front early in the race, bounced off the wall, cut down a right rear tire, and has had to make a pit stop. Let's show you what happened.
Oh yeah, right there coming off turn 2.
Just almost like it was in a 4-wheel slide.
Yeah, and maybe that tire was going down and just lost control of the car.
Inside you and him. Coming inside, big run. I'll look for smoke. Inside. They're about 3 behind right here. They're quick. They're quick.
Boyer's return to the race almost 2 laps down. Here is 7th place, Kyle Busch, trying to hold off Casey Kane in the 5.
I know we've talked about Carl Edwards in the 99 car's recovery, but Casey Kane in this 5, this is a nice recovery because he was outside the top 10 the majority of this race, in some cases outside the top 15. Remember, finished 2nd here a year ago to Matt Kenseth.
I just think, Larry, that's where some of this pit strategy is really starting to really come to the front right now. What these guys have done in the pit today, because when you get back in traffic, it looked like you were pretty stalled out. But when you get some clean air, you can go somewhere.
Kyle Busch hanging tough for 7th place. Matt?
Mike, earlier in the race when Kyle Busch was so dominant, he could run the bottom and pretty much wherever he wants. Now he cannot run the bottom. It's not working at all. The center is still similar as far as the tire condition, but the exit is much worse. That's why he's running the high line.
Casey Kane taking the short way around, going to eat him up down here in turn 1 and 2. Kyle will get a better launch off of 2 from the high side.
You were talking about Joey Logano being in traffic and not being in clean air. I think the same thing has happened to Jimmy Johnson in that 48 car. We're riding with him right here. I know they did what they had to do to keep from tearing the race car up, but he seems just stuck back there just inside the top 10 and 9.
Yeah, I've seen that with a number of guys. They get back there with, around other cars, and it's just hard to pass. Remember, we call it arrow a lot of times, but these guys are all running within a 1/10 of each other. Pretty hard to get an advantage on a guy when he's running the same speed.
Meanwhile, Carl Edwards is making up 1/2 tenth on Dale Earnhardt Jr. every lap. It's now 1.5 seconds first to second.
Remember, in our practice, I think Carl Edwards had the fastest car here. Didn't get the qualifying speed that he was expecting, but he had a fast car, and it's looking pretty good right now. He's closing up on Junior ever so slightly.
Just about a football field between them now as you watch the battle for 8th.
These two drivers would definitely need a caution because they're sitting there almost 8 seconds behind leader Dale Earnhardt Jr. as we're closing in on 25 laps to go.
I think one thing that's going to hurt our leader is that Dale Jr. he's getting ready to get up with the back of the field here. A lot of traffic ahead.
1.6 seconds is his lead over Carl Edwards. 25 laps to go in Las Vegas. Let's go back side by side. Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s lead is stabilized at 1.6 seconds, but we've got a new second place car. Here's your sprint 20 to go. Dale Jr. has never started a season winning 2 of the first 3 races. It's the last year he and crew chief Steve Letarte will be together, and they have decided they're on a mission to make it memorable.
But I tell you, they better hold the phone because Brad Keselowski in that 2 car, he's led 52 laps. I've been watching the scoring monitor. He has beat Dale Earnhardt Jr. about 0.2 of a second a lap the last 3 or 4 laps.
Yeah, I thought Carl might have something. Carl Edwards in the 99 might have something for these guys. But all of a sudden, I've seen it time and time again today with other cars. It's like somebody flipped the switch. All of a sudden, he's losing time, and now he's being chased down by Logano.
You know, guys, I just love the way Brad Keselowski's been driving that car today. He's been out of control sideways, but as the laps wind off, he gets faster and faster and steadier. He's in a great position right now to run down Dale Jr., but man, we've seen some great finishes here at Vegas. Can he pass him? That's a whole nother story.
Thanks, Michael. That's your sprint 20 to go. Keselowski is coming fast. He's a 1/4 second faster than Earnhardt on that lap. We listened in on the deuce.
Brad, pretty confident 99 can't make it. 88 might be a little better, but I know you're doing all you can to get by him so we can get pressure on the 88 so he don't start saving.
And that is the story of this race strategy. Earnhardt pitted lap 211. Edwards 1 lap later at 212. Keselowski's pit stop was 10 laps after that.
Yeah, I still feel good, especially with those 4 caution laps that they ran, knowing they save a lot of fuel under caution because back to Dale Earnhardt Jr., he ran 55 laps earlier. He has to run 56 laps this time. That's with the 4 cautions.
Boy, Larry, I can't believe how quick Keselowski is closing on Dale Jr. He is eating him up through the turns. I believe Jr. has backed it down a little bit because Keselowski is making up time in a hurry.
You see it both in feet and in seconds.
He is coming, baby.
And at 3rd place, Carl Edwards has company.
Yeah, Carl all of a sudden, his car went off. It just started not handling quite like it was earlier on this, after that restart. He's got his hands full now. Here comes Logano around the outside.
But this is definitely the best that Carl Edwards in that 99 has been this entire race. The guy back there licking his chops behind these 2 drivers is Paul Menard in that 27. Has not even had a top 20 finish so far in 2014. Here he's inside the top 5 looking at 3rd and 4th place.
And right behind him, hello Newman. Menard's teammate Ryan Newman's going to be part of this battle as well as they close up. Let's have a look at our 5-hour move of the race so far. And it's strategy. Is Steve Letarte playing a winning hand? He pitted Dale Earnhardt Jr. at lap 211. Did not bring him back in under the caution at lap 222.
Well, the bottom line is, I'm not even going to break the calculator out. Everybody out there, they've made their bed now. They've got what they've got.
My hero for the day is Paul Wolfe. I mean, the calls that he made early in this race, staying out, coming in, getting 2 when everybody else got 4, and now he's sitting here with a shot at winning this thing.
And I tell you what else he did. Remember, he restarted 7th on that last restart. He was the first driver with 2 fresh tires.
And there is the difference. All right, we listened in on the 88.
Stretch up legs all you can. We're like 3/4 of a lap short. Best we can tell, half. Just keep getting out there. If we got a little bit, we'll give it back in the last 5 or 8 laps. Just run hard right now. Run hard.
And that may account for why Brad Keselowski is closing so quickly on Dale Jr.
Yeah, I think I could see Dale Jr. all at once. It's almost like a light came on. Hey, gee, I might not make it. And he backed it down a good bit.
Krista, how about the 2?
Well, the 2 is aware of that. The engineers on the 2 team telling Brad that Dale Jr. is about a half to 3/4 of a lap short. So Brad is aware of it, and he is gunning.
And when you figure at about 4.2 to 4.3 miles to gallon, we're talking about 0.2 of a gallon of fuel that they're calculating there.
Yeah, but Brad's doing exactly what I'd want to do. Brad is good to go. He knows that. I'd be wanting to put pressure on that 88 and make him run out of gas if I could.
Wouldn't be the first time we have seen a race won or lost for a quart of gasoline.
Hello, look over to your left. You have company, and I got plenty of gas. This is shaping up, boys.
Yeah, we'll be coming to 10 laps to go this time.
Junior looks like he can hold his own pretty good, Larry, in 3 and 4, but Brad looks a little better in 1 and 2. He runs a little higher line in 1 and 2 than what Junior's been running. Although now, as I say that, Junior went right to the top. I think he saw what Brad did last time by.
Brad Keselowski is the son of a career racer. But who gave Brad his big break in NASCAR?
The guy he's chasing right there, Dale Earnhardt Jr.
He drove for Junior in what's now the Nationwide Series.
There's probably never been another driver in NASCAR that has capitalized on that opportunity like Brad Keselowski has.
Daryl and Mike, I just believe with 9 laps to go, Dale Earnhardt Jr. looked in his mirror, looked out his right window. I think he has stepped the program back up again.
You know what? Why wouldn't you? If I run out, I run out. What am I going to finish? It's not going to hurt that much.
All right, let's compare the 2 with our Fox tracks. And now the gap is pretty constant. In fact, it's opening up a bit. Folks, Dale Jr.'s pushed all his chips to the center of the table.
Regardless of the outcome of this race as we're coming to 8 to go, this is an unbelievable start for Dale Earnhardt Jr. in this 88 team. And it all started, as you documented earlier, it started at the end of last year.
Oh, yeah. The run he had in the chase, other than Chicago, he could have won the championship if it hadn't been for that. So they've been on their game for quite some time now. This is not new to these boys.
And this is truly a breakout season. Prior to this year, which is only 2 races old, Dale Jr. had only won twice in his previous 276 starts.
But you just think about Brad Keselowski. Last year he got off to a great start, 2/4. Already this year, 2/3. So both drivers, great starts.
Eric Almirola on pit road. Ever since he brushed the wall earlier, he's been a little off sequence with the rest of the cars, so not really an indication.
Larry, there is no question in my mind that when Junior saw that the 2 was there, he has stepped up the pace. He picked the pace up to about what Keselowski is able to run, and he might, if he doesn't run out of fuel, he's going to be able to hold him off.
Paul Menard and Jeff Gordon are the quickest cars on the racetrack this last lap.
Yeah, it's almost like Dale Earnhardt Jr. stretched it out a little bit. Then he kind of let it stabilize. Last lap or 2, Keselowski pulled back up a little bit. I think Dale Earnhardt Jr. is just running as quick as he needs to.
I think he's trying to save fuel. I don't know if it's going to work or not.
How'd you like to be sitting in this section? Keselowski fan on the left, and that lady's she got wearing Dale Jr. all over.
Somebody's going to get hurt when this is over with.
Right now, they're just ignoring each other. Oh, they're going to talk now.
All right, Kurt Busch is on pit road. So not everybody is willing to gamble and go the distance.
Brad Keselowski has pulled within about 2 car lengths of Dale Earnhardt Jr., and now he's caught some lower lap traffic.
Well, the lap traffic is hurting Junior at
5 to go.
See what happens here. Keselowski is there now. Boy, once you get that close, it's like you can't be denied once you get that close.
He's there, Daryl.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he'll take the dive here.
Wow, top to bottom. Just like that, and Keselowski looks for the lead. Now, Junior's going to have a jump on a run off turn 2 and take it back.
But just what I'd be doing if I was Keselowski. If I could run him, make him run as hard as I could and hope he runs out of fuel if I can't get by him.
But what a run he got off turn 2 all the way up against the wall. Now he's pulled it back to about 3 car lengths. Will be coming to 3 to go.
Can he make it? That's the question. Is there any Mountain Dew left in the tank?
No, Keselowski had the lead for an instant there. And that top to bottom move, drop to the bottom, was one he pulled yesterday.
Well, that was a line I saw Junior run earlier when Keselowski kind of made a run on him up around the high side of 1 and 2. And then he stopped it, went to the bottom. Now he's back at the top again. He's moving around. He's trying to find the fastest way around this joint.
As this unfolds, Paul Menard Back in third, 4.5 back. Yep, things are getting tense in the grandstand,
Well,
too.
She knows what we know. Is he going to be able to make it or not? That's what everybody's asking.
Well, 2 flags Dale Earnhardt Jr. wants to see. Obviously the checkered flag, but he wants to see this next flag because when he takes that white flag, we know there's no possibility of a green-white checker.
But he also knows that that's the time when he might run out of fuel, a half to 3/4 of a lap short. So let's see how close Letarte was on the fuel mileage.
We've seen it happen, but here they come off turn number 4. And the white flag will be waving with Keselowski half a second behind. All right, which lane? Junior up high, Keselowski middle.
But
down low.
he knows he keeps getting that good run on the high side off of 2.
But Keselowski closer.
Oh, he's out.
He's got the draft, and Junior is out of gas.
3/4 of a lap, you're out.
Oh.
It's back running, though. It's back running. It's probably not. It's going to keep surging on him.
Yeah. Okay.
And Brad Keselowski comes off the corner. Hole in one for the captain. Checkered flag for Keselowski.
Wow.
What a weekend.
Wow.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. did have enough to make it back into the second.
And Earnhardt now has 3 top 2 finishes in a row to start this season.
Keselowski's got 2/3 and a first.
I've seen in a long time there, Brad. Nice job.
What a day. What a race. What a finish.
Paul Menard third, Joey Logano, Carl Edwards the top 5.
Well, that's a clean sweep for Keselowski. Won yesterday in a dramatic finish with Kyle Busch. Today he wins another one.
Thank you.
Team Penske swept the front row, wins the race. It's Brad's 11th career win and his 164th start.
And I got to give a shout out to Paul Menard. Paul Menard came home 3rd place today. What a great run.
And
great.
Carl Edwards in that 99, we know he was having to save some fuel. He ended up in the top 5.
All right, let's go back to Dale Earnhardt Jr. coming off turn 2.
Just that little sputter.
Clear, all clear.
You can hear it sputtering and
just that
surging
little bit
right
of a
there.
sputter.
But
Coming
Steve Letarte told him a half to 3/4 of a lap. That's exactly what it was.
I hate it when the crew chief's right.
And there's a great symbol of freedom held high by Brad Keselowski.
Well, guys, you think about it. Our 2012 champion missed the chase last year. He just won him a race. That's a pretty good route to get there.
Yes, sir. I think he's on his way this year. I think he could be a guy that could learned a lot of lessons from last year, and he's going to take advantage of what he learned last year. You learn a lot more losing than you do winning, and I think he realizes that.
He adds the checkered flag to the American flag and will head for victory lane. One team gets to celebrate. One team comes up just a little bit short.
You're good. Coming to the checker. Let's go. No threat. No threat. Take it easy. No threat. No threat. All right. Nice job. We're back in the game. Hell yeah. Everybody I tried. Good job, Edward. Something wrong there.
Radio communication at the end of a dramatic duel. And there's Steve Letarte, the crew chief for Dale Earnhardt Jr., congratulating Brad Keselowski, his first victory in the 3rd race of this season, as we welcome you to the Sprint Post-Race Show, the Kobalt 400, live from Las Vegas. And glad you're watching NASCAR on Fox. A dramatic finish between 2 of the hottest drivers. And Keselowski, who gambled early to stay out, won on a gamble that failed for Dale Earnhardt Jr. Chris DeVoe is there for the celebration.
And in a city like Las Vegas, you have to risk big to win big. As the Miller Lite is flowing in victory lane.
Yeah, it's flowing all right.
It is. Let's talk about the risks you took. At one point, Brad, you were in the wall. You were off sequence. You were trying to gun down Dale Earnhardt Jr., but you're the one.
I can't see it. But
I know. I'm stalling for you. I know. A lot of Miller Lite in Brad Keselowski's face. But yet you were the one in victory lane, your first win at Las Vegas. Go ahead and talk about the strategy that Paul Wolf had for your Miller Lite Ford.
Well, heck of a call throughout the race to get us out front, get us some track position. Clean air in these cars is so important. So I got hit pretty hard in the eyes. But, you know, at the end, this car was just really fast, and I'm really proud of it. I'm really proud of the team for giving me a car that's fast. You know, this is a big deal for Ford. You know, they done a heck of a job really working hard trying to get all the Ford cars to be good. And, you know, Carl Edwards helped me out there. He gave me a little break so I could go run down the 88. And that's what we needed for Ford to win. We needed to put pressure on Dale and not let him get into the fuel save mode because, as you can tell, he was really close, Krista. And so I appreciate that. I want to say thank you to Carl and to all the Fords that worked with us together. It was kind of a sad day for Ford, you know, with the loss of William Clay. It was a big deal where I'm from in Detroit. So I wanted to say our thoughts and prayers are with his family, and proud to get the Miller Lite Ford in victory lane. That's a big deal. So we're very happy and locked in the chase early. I don't have to hear that crap all year about not being in the chase.
And we heard Brad Keselowski say that on the radio. A big win for Ford, for Penske, for the captain, Roger Penske, as well. Congratulations, Brad. First win at Las Vegas. Steve Burns.
All right, we're ready when you are. Thank you, Krista, with Dale Earnhardt Jr. And I'm not going to put words in your mouth. I'm going to guess it was disappointing, but I heard you on the cool-down lap encouraging your team.
Yeah, we weren't going to run first or second had we not stayed out on that strategy. We knew we were a lap short, and we tried to save as much as we could. We got it to about a half a lap, and it ran out off of 2 there. So, you know, we took a gamble and didn't win the race, but it still worked in our favor to run second. Gave us a chance to win. It sucks to lose like that, but we can't let that be a negative. We got to go to Bristol and try to win there, and the only way to be productive is to be positive. So we got to be look at the positives in today and keep working toward our goal of winning some more races. But that's tough losing like that. That thing started sputtering off too. It was really disappointing.
Thanks for your time. We'll see you at Bristol. Chris?
All right, the junior fans are on the edge of their seat, but he's still off as the fans appreciate that's the best start, right? He's had 3 straight top 5 finishes to start the season. Best ever for Dale Earnhardt Jr., but Las Vegas belongs to this man, and we'll have more on the Sprint Post-Race Show in a moment. With Michael Walton, Chris Myers, and the Sprint Post-Race Show live from Las Vegas, NASCAR on Fox, where Brad Keselowski, a 7-to-1 betting choice in Vegas, 7-to-1, and he pulls into victory lane for owner Roger Penske. We've mentioned him throughout the broadcast. He's won in a lot of places, but first time ever, Penske Racing has won here in Las Vegas in a Sprint Cup race. Meanwhile, third place belonging to Paul Menard, who led 6 laps, and Matt Yoakum is standing by with him.
What a run by Paul Menard in the 27 machine, coming home third, your third straight top 10 here. What does a run like this do for you and your team after your sluggish start?
Yeah, I mean, Daytona was really good for us and obviously struggled last week in Phoenix, but these guys never give up. Quickest state Menard Chevy was really good on long runs. You know, Thursday we had a test day, and it was really good race trim. Had no speed at all in qualifying trim, but went back to race trim yesterday and it was fast again. So whatever we got figured out in race trim works, and something that we can definitely build on for more mile and a halves. Looking forward to Bristol next week. It's fun little bull ring. Looking forward to just getting back together with these guys and running. You know, we've got a really good team, and everybody's clicking.
All right, and by the way, congratulations on your soon-to-be child.
Yeah, I got to hurry home now. Thank you.
And this is the fastest Las Vegas race in the history of the 17 races here. Just over, average speed of just over 154 miles per hour. Of course, Joey Logano sat on the pole, Brad Keselowski up front, and the gambles, the ability to pass and pull off this victory for the 2-car.
Oh, it was a great restart he got. He took off and he made passes to get this win. You know, we've heard a lot about track position, how important it is to be up front. Carl Edwards and Dale Earnhardt Jr. proved how vital it is to have that clean air, but Brad fought through that. Chris, I've never seen him more determined determined, a driver that was more focused on getting the checkered flag than Brad was today. That thing was sideways. He adjusted on it. His crew chief took chances. They're in Vegas. They gambled and they won.
And a nice tribute to the late William Clay Ford Sr., who passed away. And, of course, remembering Fords, by the way, have won nearly half the races run here in Las Vegas. And Brad Keselowski's teammate, Joey Logano, who was on the pole, led 44 laps and wound up fourth, is standing by with Steve Burns.
With the pole sitter, Joey Logano. And Joey, when the race started, you were out front and you were so good, but when you got caught back in traffic, you just couldn't go anywhere. Tell us about your day.
It was hard fought for sure. It's once we lost our track position there, it's so loose, and I mean, it's so hard to pass a car. I mean, it's hard for me to pass lap cars out there. So we kept swinging at it. Todd did a good job making adjustments and you know, swinging for the fences with this thing with spring rubbers and track fire and wedge and air pressure. Everything we can change, we changed. And still wasn't quite good enough at the end to race with those guys, but we got the car good enough and had a good enough restart at the end to get up into the top 5. And I thought I had Brad almost on the outside there on one of those restarts, but I wouldn't be able to hold him off anyway. He had the faster car and was able to bring it home. So, you know, it's awesome for Team Penske to get that win, get one car in the chase. So you just got to get this 22 going and get it in the chase. So still a solid season for us to start. You know, a couple top 5s here and, you know, at a pole to start the weekend. So we got speed. We just got to fine-tune it a little bit better for this track at least. But Bristol's a good track for us coming up, and look forward to going back there.
Thank you, Joey.
Thank you.
We have a lot more to come on the Sprint post-race show. There's 30-year-old from Rochester Hills, Michigan, just north of Detroit, Brad Keselowski, off of his 11th career win. The Sprint post-race show live from Las Vegas on Fox, continuing 3 races in the 36-race season. And Brad Keselowski, as we check the unofficial results, Michael, of the Kobalt 400, junior right behind Paul Menard, Joey Logano. Carl Edwards worked his way up to finish 5th.
Yeah, we didn't see any of those Roush Fenway Fords near the front all day long. Carl used strategy to finish in the top 5. The Toyotas all glopped there together from 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th, so they can't be too pleased with their result today. Looking forward to Bristol, though, I bet.
Rookie Kyle Larson, 19th. You saw Kyle Busch, and he flirted, was in the lead throughout the day, had some pit problems. Danica Patrick, and a tough day for Kurt Busch, brother of Kyle, of course, the Las Vegas native.
Yeah, when you play a home game, you want to finish better than 26th, and that wasn't the case for that car today. Didn't run well at all. Neither did his teammate, Tony Stewart. You see Tony back in the 33rd spot, a guy that has won here before. A lot of head scratching going on there.
10 leaders, 21 lead changes. We talked about the average record speed for the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. 4 cautions, and it was wreck-free. We did not have any crashes in today's race, won by Brad Keselowski. Time now for Toyota. Let's go places, and let's look ahead from Las Vegas in a mile and a half to the short track of Bristol Motor Speedway, where we will be next Sunday, and Brad Keselowski has won there twice.
He's really strong, and I talked about those Toyotas traveling across the country trying to get their stuff together when they get to Tennessee. Bristol's a great track to rebound on. We've seen some interesting things from the Penske camp. They qualify up front, but they've also got the long run figured out. They're able to stay up front. A lot of teams have qualified well, and they fade late, so be interesting to see what happens on the short track. I love short track racing.
And Casey Kane won that race last year. We don't think of him as a successful short track driver. Let's bring in Darrell, Larry, and Mike for some final thoughts. Well, we've had 5 different race teams going over the last 5 races to last year win, Mike. And here to start out the year, 3 races, 3 different winners, but Brad Keselowski in the top 3 in all 3 of those.
Yes, I think Keselowski and especially Dale Earnhardt Jr. go to Bristol with so much momentum, because it's not just when you're in. You need to be up there in the points to be seated up high, and the 2 of those drivers, as we go live from Darrell's house next weekend, they're in a position where they can gamble and take all the chances they want right now.
And we saw, Letarte told us that. Hey, when they won Daytona, he said, from here on out, we're going to roll the dice. And they rolled them today. They came up a little short. But, Mike, we broke every record you could break at this racetrack this weekend. We set a new track record. Yeah. We had the fastest race in the history of this thing. Keselowski and Roger Penske, first time they've won here. So we set every record you could set. But guess what? Next week, we're going to the Super Bowl. That's what Bristol will be about. And you think these cars are fast here? You wait till we get up there next week.
I love where our sport's at right now. A few years ago, Dale Earnhardt Jr. would have been delighted, even running out of fuel, to have a second-place finish. Our drivers right now are all about winning in this Sprint Cup Series. And you think about our first short track race, and Harvick, Keselowski, Dale Earnhardt Jr., yeah, they all run well, but there's a lot of hungry hounds down in that garage area. They want to get that first win of 2014.
And boy, are we excited to get to Bristol. Let the fenders flail, Chris.
We'll stir them up. Brad Keselowski will be happy to be there at age 11. He began working at K Automotive Motorsports in Auburn Hills, Michigan, cleaning his father's race cars. And now he's celebrating victory in Las Vegas. And our sprint post-race show, the winner, Brad Keselowski, who wound up leading 53 laps, the most in this race, one ahead of Las Vegas native Kyle Busch. And after 3 races, Michael Waltrip checking the point standings, and those win totals are big because you're just 99% in the 16.
I'm going to say win, you're in, Chris, and it's a big deal to have a lot of points, too, because there's probably going to be a couple guys sneak into the chase without a victory. So points racing is not what this is all about anymore. It's about getting wins, but you need that insurance policy.
Kevin Harvick falls back, and how about a 1.5 mile track? We said at the beginning, 11 races a runner, those half of in the chase. What does this race today tell you about Brad Keselowski as a championship contender?
Oh, he is definitely a championship contender. That car is really fast. It's been fast at Daytona, at Phoenix. It was fast here on the 1.5 mile. Now we're going to go to a short track, and I bet you they passed that test there as well.
Disappointment for Tony Stewart. Stewart Haas Racing all across the board taking a tough hit today as Harvick looked good early. And Brad Keselowski, talk about gambling. Paul Wolfe is a crew chief, a new dad, got a 4-year contract extension. Of course, last year, Brad Keselowski signed the extension with Roger Penske Racing, who was on the phone with his drivers today, Logano and Brad. But let's look at the guys who've been very consistent in these first 3 races, other than Harvick today taking a hit. People like Keselowski, Dale Earnhardt Jr., even Jeff Gordon.
Yeah, there's been some really good stories to the start of this season. And what I like most about today's race was what Paul Wolfe did. Whatever everybody else did, he just did the opposite. That's a great way to call a race. He's got his driver some track position, and then at the end, when everybody just pitted for gas or no pit at all, he came in and got 2 tires and gave Brad the car he needed at the end.
And Dale Earnhardt Jr. and his crew chief Steve Letarte, they were able to gamble, and almost at the end the fuel ran out because they knew they had a win in the bag and they're in pretty good shape in the big picture of getting into that 16-car chase. So we know some names that'll already be there. Tonight on Fox, it's animation. Domination. Is he doing the post-race inspection by himself with a Miller Lite and champagne?
He was sideways on the track. Look, he ran into the wall and still got the victory. That's how hard he was driving.
And don't forget, on Fox Sports 1, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, a full half-hour victory lane. You'll hear more from Brad Keselowski and some of those that were chasing him. And then next Sunday, 12:30 Eastern time, from Bristol, Tennessee, and an hour earlier, on Fox Sports 1 Race Day coming your way. For Michael Waltrip and our entire production crew, thanks for hanging with us, losing that hour. I'm Chris Myers. So long. NASCAR on Fox from Vegas.